Chapter 29-29. When the sovereign reaches the peak, even the heavens will be a human. Even the tribulation taker will not be able to take away his light. This kind of person is the true ancestor, unparalleled. Hu, Yan Emperor exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He did not expect the immemorial war to be a trap to kill him. Yan ancestor betrayed him. Yan Emperor seemed to have sensed it long ago. Therefore, he was not surprised that Yan Yu participated in the first trap. Sigh, Yan Emperor sighed as he looked at Yi Qinghan and Qi Yan. They seemed to have known each other for many years. His smile changed the color of the sky. Hiss. Hiss. Qi Yan let out a long hiss and rushed towards Yan Emperor with Yi Qinghan. Hua. It was too fast. Although Qi Yan was injured, he was not as good as before. Hua. Yan Emperor waved his hand and healed Qi Yan's injuries. Even Yi Qinghan's injuries were healed. Yi Qinghan bowed slightly and cupped his fists. Senior Yan Emperor, I have heard of your name for a long time. Now that I have met you, you are indeed worthy of your reputation. Yan Emperor looked at Yi Qinghan and a memory flashed across his eyes. It was the scene in Ghost Crying Ridge. No wonder Yan Yu gave me the human Tao Emperor Pagoda. He had already prepared a second trap and wanted me to give you the pagoda and the human Tao Emperor Pagoda personally. Ha ha ha. Yan Emperor laughed at himself. He was used by his own father and did not understand until his death. The feeling of being used by others was not good. The feeling of being used by one's own father was even worse. Yi Qinghan did not know anything about the immemorial war and neither did Yan Emperor. However, Yan Emperor's great Tao helped him to gather a lot of information. Many things that were a mystery to him were no longer a mystery to Yan Emperor. Senior, you don't have to blame yourself. This kind of thing, not only you, but also everyone else. Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Yan Emperor exhaled and replied seriously, actually, you don't have to call me senior. You and I are of the same generation. You still don't know about the alien star and the tribulation taker. Yi Qinghan shook his head. He really did not know. Yan Emperor smiled bitterly and said, follow me to the ancient immortal world. Let's send those two into the chaotic heavenly domain and buy some time. Whoosh. Whoosh. The two experts didn't say anything more and immediately chased after him. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Whoosh. The four experts charged into the clouds, chasing after each other. The Flame Emperor seemed to know that he would not be able to kill the two Ancestor Realm experts in a short period of time because he now understood the Primal Chaos Heavenly Domain and the Seeking Heavenly Domain. However, he had not had the time to explain. However, just because they couldn't kill him didn't mean that they wouldn't hunt him down. Whoosh! Groan, the human sovereign's sword was unsheathed. Flame Emperor's speed was now much faster than Qi Yan's. His sword pierced through the void and headed straight for the two. Boom! Whoosh! The void was shaken and collapsed. The sword momentum was like a rainbow. Whoosh! Swish. The 7-foot heavy craze shattered the void and began to counterattack. After being chased for so long, it finally had a chance to counterattack. It released a furious strike that could shatter heaven and earth. Boom! Bang! The human Tao Emperor Pagoda blasted on Zhongquang, while the immemorial Yin Yang Emperor sword clashed with the human Emperor sword Qi. Both of them were extremely cunning. They borrowed the force of the collision to escape far away, shattering the order and escaping millions of miles away. The distance between them was pulled apart instantly. Even if he couldn't catch up, he had to. The two of them chased crazily. Many years of accumulated hatred erupted at this moment. How could they let the two of them off? Yan Yu and immemorial Yin Yang were speechless. They had lived their whole lives and ruled over the ancient times. Yet, after reaching the peak, they were chased by two juniors for countless miles. At the edge of the Star River, the people of Class 1 Hall were dumbfounded. The situation changed rapidly. They did not expect that the two high and mighty Ancestor Realm experts were being chased instead. Many people rubbed their eyes, feeling that they were seeing things. How could this be? Flame Emperor is back. Flame Emperor crossed the ancient times and came back to kill. I wonder how he will deal with his own father. The people of Class 1 Hall now understood that the ancient war was just a trap set by their own father. At this moment, the people of Class 1 Hall were terrified. With Flame Emperor's return and Yi Qinghan's cooperation, the two Ancestor Realm experts would be forced to hide passively. At the same time, the crazy manor was about to counterattack. Roar! Dragons roared and tigers roared. Sabers and swords flew. Flame Emperor and Yi Qinghan chased after Immemorial Yin Yang and Yen Yu. Immemorial Yin Yang was not so weak. The reason why he fled was because he knew that Flame Emperor and Yi Qinghan would reach the peak at any moment. Once they reached the peak, he would no longer have a chance. Now, he could only take the last path, which was to enter the Primal Chaos Heavenly Domain and find a way to break through to the Ancestor Realm. Yen Yu did not know how to face the current Flame Emperor. His own son was abandoned twice. He even wiped out the Yen clan. This was Flame Emperor's obsession. Therefore, it was impossible for Flame Emperor to forgive him. There was no father-son relationship between them, only hatred deeper than the sea. At this moment, Yi Qinghan wished that he could trample the two of them under his feet to vent his anger. Since birth, he had been toyed with. Everything about him was controlled by others. No one could stand it. Now that he had broken through the 10 tribulations and 10 lifetimes, even if he did not enter the Ancestor Realm, he could exhaust an Ancestor Realm expert to death. Moreover, Flame Emperor had returned. The four of them killed their way into the heart of the universe and were about to reach the ancient immortal world. Everyone in the ancient immortal world was in danger. Once the Ancestor Realm experts fought in the ancient immortal world, no matter how strong the ancient immortal world was, it would not be able to withstand the destruction of the four of them. Whoosh! Whoosh! 20 days later, Yen Yu and Immemorial Yin Yang entered the ancient immortal world. However, they did not stop at Lu Feng's territory. Instead, they headed straight for the Primal Chaos Heavenly Domain. The Ancestor Realm experts were extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they had crossed the Lingxiao domain and were getting closer to the Primal Chaos Heavenly Domain. Ancient Heavenly Emperor drew his sword and ordered the army to separate, giving way to the Ancestor Realm experts. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yen Yu and Immemorial Yin Yang were battered and exhausted. Their battle robes were torn apart by Yi Qinghan and Flame Emperor. Their clothes were tattered and they disappeared into the Primal Chaos Heavenly Domain. Whoosh! Moments later, the Primal Chaos Heavenly Domain, Seeking Heavenly Domain, and the domain created by Flame Ancestor merged into one and absorbed the ancient Heavenly Emperor's army. Whing! Whoosh! The three domains shone brightly and formed a huge boundary. Roar! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan slashed his saber at the boundary. In an instant, the earth shook and the sky shook. Whoosh! The Yen Emperor followed up with a sword strike. The combined might of the two of them was enough to shatter the ancient times and split the sky. However, the boundary of the three domains was as stable as a rock. Boundless power came from the three domains and blocked the attacks of Yi Qinghan and the Yen Emperor. Thud! Thud! The counterattack pushed the two of them back a few thousand miles and the ground was crushed. Yi Qinghan was unwilling to give up. He stabbed his saber into the ground and glared at the Primal Chaos Heavenly Domain. Flame Emperor shook his head and said hoarsely, "There's no need to struggle. Now, we can only break through the Ancestor Realm and enter the Primal Chaos Heavenly Domain and Seeking Heavenly Domain." Yi Qinghan asked in a deep voice, "What's going on with the Primal Chaos Heavenly Domain and Seeking Heavenly Domain?" Flame Emperor sat on Qi Yan's back and stared at the purple aura coming from the east in the distance. He said softly, "The primal chaos heavenly domain is the place where the heavenly Tao's order is spread. It's pure order without any emotions. Enforcers like the Taigu Emperor would be born here. They should be emotionless enforcers." The first batch of enforcers were only the 12 immemorial emperors and the 6 master gods. However, since the immemorial yin-yang was born and became an arbitrary existence, he actually refined the order of the primal chaos heavenly domain and mastered the method to create enforcers. He began to act arbitrarily and was even thinking of ways to break through the ancestor realm and become a true firmament. Yi Qinghan frowned as he listened to Flame Emperor's explanation. However, the order of the primal chaos heavenly domain can adjust itself. When it's under control, it will give birth to a new order to break the suppression of the controller. That's why a tribulation taker like you was born. The alien star came from the seeking heavenly domain. However, I don't know what it's like inside the seeking heavenly domain because I've never been there before. Flame Emperor whispered. Chapter 29:30. Yi Qinghan was stunned when he heard this. So he was the son of heaven, born at the request of the order of the heavens to save the order. Back then, the immemorial yin-yang had sensed what the new order wanted to do. Hence, he went with the flow and set up this shocking plan with Yenyu. It was all for the sake of devouring the alien star root's fundamental source. Meanwhile, Yenyu borrowed your soul to step into the ancestor realm. However, I didn't expect that Emperor Liang was actually helping you, Yan Emperor said in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan understood a lot after Yan Emperor cleared his doubts. The new order urged the birth of Yi Qinghan and the birth of the corresponding alien star to help him grow, so as to break the great calamity and kill the immemorial yin-yang or return to its original form. However, the new order neglected Yan Emperor. Perhaps there was another reason why Yan Emperor couldn't transcend the 5 elements. Once Yan Emperor transcended the 5 elements, the new order wouldn't be able to suppress him. According to the information of the Great Tao Echo, I have a rough guess that this Chu Tian domain might be hiding the secret of the ancestor realm. However, I have never entered it, so I can't give a definite answer. But one thing is for sure, once you enter Chu Tian domain, stepping into the ancestor realm might be as easy as waving your hand. Your future achievements will be far greater than mine. Yan Emperor said softly. Does this order have emotions? Yi Qinghan asked curiously. He didn't like to be controlled by emotions. If it was a pure order that restricted all laws without any emotions, it would be a different story if it had emotions. Yan Emperor frowned. Yan Emperor didn't raise his eyebrows. He didn't like to be controlled by emotions at all. However, there are exceptions to everything. For example, the immemorial yin and yang Great Tao successfully broke free from its shackles and evolved into emotions. It successfully transformed into yin and yang. However, he was the first Emperor Realm cultivator born in the primal chaos heavenly domain. He was born for the Great Tao. Now that he has stepped over the Great Tao and stood firmly on the heavenly Tao, it is reasonable for him to break free from his shackles. Yi Qinghan touched the tip of his nose and pondered for a long time. Then he asked, Senior, is there a realm above the ancestor realm? Yan Emperor looked at Yi Qinghan and didn't hide anything. He replied with certainty, yes, transcending nature, there is no self, no heaven, no law, everything is determined by one's mind. At that realm, the distance between the universe and the ancestor realm can be reached with a wave of the hand. Of the ancestor realm, can be destroyed with a wave of the hand, and the dead can be revived, but that is an ideal state, no one has ever reached it. A glint flashed across Yi Qinghan's eyes. That state was exactly what he wanted, to revive the dead. The Yan Emperor patted Yi Qinghan's shoulder and said faintly, don't think so far ahead. I dare to think about that realm, but I don't have the ability to do so. Just do your best. Don't be like the immemorial yin-yang and Yenyu, who disowned their family for the sake of the so-called ancestor realm. Yi Qinghan heaved a sigh of relief and nodded his head. He didn't bother about that realm anymore. Yan Emperor was an existence born to strike at the hearts of the people. Since Yi Qinghan was born, there was no one that he didn't want to fight and didn't dare to fight. However, he felt that being a respected senior was the best choice. Experts were lonely and it was lonely at the top. If the sky collapsed, at least Yan Emperor was there to block it. If the earth collapsed, at least Yan Emperor was there to support it. Life was like smoke, vast and ethereal. If one chased too much, they would tire themselves out. Yi Qinghan was very open-minded. He wanted to kill Sikong Tanlang in the undying celestial world and then find a holy land to peacefully enjoy his life. However, the heavens didn't allow it and many people found their way to him, forcing him to move forward. After killing Yenyu and primordial yin-yang, we will be able to relax. Yi Qinghan shrugged his shoulders and said. Yan Emperor smiled and replied expressionlessly, maybe. Where there are people, there will be fighting. When can there be peace? Yi Qinghan stared at the barrier in front of him. Purple energy from the east. It was difficult to enter the Chaos Heaven domain now unless they destroyed this space. However, if they didn't reach the realm of no self, no heaven, no law, no order, the entire universe would collapse and no one would be able to live. Even if he and Yan Emperor could live, what was the point? This was the result that Yen Yu and immemorial Yin Yang wanted. Although the last option was to be a coward, at least there was still a glimmer of hope. Creating a large domain was no different from the universe. Being the overlord of 3 domains was better than being killed by Yi Qinghan and Yan Emperor. Now, what should we do? Yi Qinghan frowned. As long as Yen Yu and primordial Yin Han were alive, they would make him uneasy. Yan Emperor looked up and replied solemnly, comprehend the universe and step into the ancestor realm. Yi Qinghan nodded and licked his teeth. Before he stepped into the ancestor realm, he had to take revenge for Kuang Fu. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan returned to the hinterland of the ancient immortal world and came to Crimson God region. Seeing Lu Feng's excited face, he nodded and said, Lu Feng, kill all those who are hostile to Kuang Fu and those who killed Kuang Fu. Leave no one alive. Lu Feng's face darkened. His fingers trembled as he asked hoarsely, what about me? A few years ago, I did kill some people from Kuang Fu. However, I did it to protect myself and to make primordial yin-yang believe me. Recently, I blocked hundreds of messengers from Class 1 Hall and bought several hundred years for you. I even saved Yan Yunbei and more than 20,000 people from Kuang Fu and Yan clan from Ancient Heaven Emperor. Are you going to burn the bridge after crossing the river and get rid of me as well? Yi Qinghan didn't know what happened in the ancient immortal world. He looked at Lu Feng's worried face and patted his shoulder. I'm not someone who burns the bridge after crossing the river. I'll remember your kindness to Kuang Fu. I'm not talking about Emperor Yuan's faction but the people from Class 1 Hall who are hostile to us. Who? Lu Feng let out a breath. Primordial yin-yang was doomed to lose. If Yi Qinghan burned the bridge after crossing the river, he would have no chance at all. Thank you, Mansion Master. Lu Feng bowed. Yi Qinghan replied coldly, there's no need to thank me. This is what you deserve. Back then, you stood up for me when I needed you the most. Don't worry, I won't go back on what I promised you. I'll give you what you deserve. Once you get rid of the loyal members of Class 1 Hall and join hands with Kuang Fu, I'll wipe out all the Class 1 Hall members in the borderlands. Leave no one alive. Hua! Lu Feng cupped his fists and replied happily, thank you, Mansion Master. Yi Qinghan slowly turned and left. Then make your move. I don't want any loyal members of Class 1 Hall among your subordinates. I also don't want any enemies of Kuang Fu among your subordinates. Roar! Lu Feng unsheathed his sword and said firmly, "Don't worry, Mansion Master. I won't show any mercy. Damn it, I already know what to do." Whoosh, Yi Qinghan rushed towards Kuang Fu's base while Lu Feng began his massacre. Chapter 29-31. Lu Feng's actions were thunderous and merciless. If he wasn't merciless, when it was Yi Qinghan's turn, even he wouldn't be able to escape. It was Lu Feng's motto to kill his friends rather than himself. Lu Feng started to kill, and blood flowed like a river. Every day, 100,000 people died, and they were all experts of Class 1 Hall. The army was stationed in all directions of the ancient immortal world. No one dared to escape, and no one could escape. The teleportation stele was sealed, and no one could escape from the ancient immortal world. Right now, the only thing everyone could pray for was that the person Lu Feng wanted to kill wasn't them. At this moment, everyone in the world was in a constant state of panic. Even the immemorial yin-yang era of forbidden laws wasn't as dark as this. The darkness before dawn was often the scariest. There was no light at all. Lu Feng led the army and sometimes, he would directly wipe out a region army, and no one would be able to survive. Right now, many people were looking for connections to survive. Even more people started to beg for mercy from Kuang Manor. Kuang Manor knew that those people were ruthless to them, so many people appeared in Lu Feng's army. They didn't want Lu Feng to kill the innocent and incur the wrath of the world. If they could be spared, they would be spared. If they couldn't be spared, they would be wiped out. They wouldn't leave any seeds of hatred behind. Half a year later, the direct descendants of Class 1 Hall in the ancient immortal world were all wiped out. Only a few top experts hid in one place, trembling as they waited for the Dark Era to pass. Yi Qinghan personally took action. He patrolled the universe with heaven-defying Tao. None of the experts who hid could escape his sight, unless they had sealed themselves. After all, if they sealed themselves, no one would be able to discover them. Boom! Bang! In the ancient immortal world, monstrous palm prints would appear from time to time, directly shattering the order and destroying everything. Yi Qinghan traveled through the 108 regions and found many experts who were loyal to Class 1 Hall. None of them were able to survive. What was slightly surprising was that Yi Qinghan found many familiar people. Jingfan Mountain Lord and Chu Shijue were actually still alive. However, they disguised themselves as farmers and didn't participate in the affairs of the world. Gu Jiutian was cultivating alone in a temple. He seemed to have seen through the mortal world and didn't want to participate in the affairs of the world anymore. Yi Qinghan did not disturb them. They did not participate in the war back then, and he would not allow them to participate in the war in the future. About a year later, the slaughter in the ancient immortal world stopped. Corpses piled up like mountains and blood flowed like rivers. The army began to reorganize. Kuang Fu Deng called for all of the Heavenly Conquest Battalion's 1st and 2nd Battalions, as well as the people from the Ancient Massacre God and the Outer and Inner Sect, to return. The descendants of the Heavenly Conquest Battalion's 1st Battalion appeared in the world under the leadership of the Chess Saint Sun, Void Saint Chess. The 1st and 2nd Battalions, as well as the Ancient Massacre God and the Outer and Inner Sects, had lost about 30% of their forces. The losses were not small at all. Most of the people who had died were killed by the encirclement. About 10% of the descendants of the 1st Battalion had also died. These people did not have the mark of Kuang Fu and were purely implicated. To Class 1 Hall and the ancient Heavenly Emperor, it was not considered accidental killing. Yi Qinghan released all of the older, 2nd, and 3rd generations of Kuang Fu Deng. These people had suffered heavy losses. The 1st generation only had about 10 of them left. The weaker ones of the older generation, except for the Chess Saint, who was hidden in Gu Qingyu's body, had all died in battle. The 2nd generation only had a few dozen people left, and the 3rd generation was almost wiped out. The total number of people left was only about 300. Many people had retreated from the ancient immortal world back then. Now that he thought about it, those familiar faces were no longer there. Yi Qinghan looked up to the sky and took a deep breath. There was some mist in his eyes that could not be suppressed. The Yan Emperor's Dharma body was destroyed, and Yi Mingxi was severely injured. Although the emotionless Tao was hidden, these debts were all owed to Yenyu, immemorial Yin Yang, and the ancient heavenly emperor. Gather the army. Head to the edge of the universe. I want to completely destroy Class 1 Hall, Yi Qinghan said with a cold glint in his eyes. The army quickly gathered and reorganized. Yi Qinghan returned to the barrier of purple qi from the east. Yan Emperor, 1 man, 1 sword, and 1 horse guarded the barrier, comprehending the universe's heavenly Tao. He hoped to reach the ancestor realm as soon as possible and kill his way to the primal chaos heavenly domain. Go do your thing. Help me take revenge for the Yan clan, Yan Emperor said in a deep voice. With me around, they won't dare to come out. Yi Qinghan nodded. He waved his hand and grabbed Yan Quan. Don't worry. None of them will survive, Yi Qinghan said coldly. In terms of killing intent, he was more ruthless than Lu Feng. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan spent a few days to enter the Crimson Divine region. Lu Feng was also reorganizing the army, waiting for the final battle. The true experts of Class 1 Hall were at the edge of the universe. The Primordial Emperor and the Primordial Master God were at the edge of the universe. Other than the region army, the true army of Class 1 Hall was at the edge of the universe chasing after the people of Guangfu. Primordial Yin Yang and Yenyu had escaped, but they had not. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Boom. The army was reorganized and ready to attack at any time. Yi Qinghan held his saber and stared at Lu Feng's region army. He said coldly, "Let's go. I want no one from Class 1 Hall to survive. Kill them all and destroy the inheritances of the ancient gods and ancient immortals." Lu Feng's body trembled. He could not help but be glad that he chose to side with them back then. Otherwise, it would not be the people from Class 1 Hall who would be wiped out today. Whoosh! Lu Feng held the banner and shouted, "All soldiers at the Golden Immortal rank and above, follow me to battle. For every enemy you kill, you will be promoted by 1 rank. For every Chiliarch you kill, you will be promoted to Chiliarch. For every direct descendant of Elite Hall, you will be promoted to the position of commander of a region. For those who kill the upper echelons of Elite Hall, the position of Region Lord will be yours." Whoosh! The army's morale was high. Now that the dark era was over, the light had appeared. If they could obtain a high position, they would benefit for the rest of their lives. Tap tap tap, boom boom boom. Quang Manor's army had finished gathering and started to march toward the Crimson Divine region. This was the place they had to pass if they wanted to teleport to the border of the ancient immortal world. The Chess Saint led the first and second camps of the Heavenly Conquest camp. Lu Outyan was in charge of the inner and outer sects, as well as Quang Manor's private army. Di Longtian was in charge of the ancient massacre god. Yan Yunbei was in charge of the Assassin Legion. Void Saint Chess was in charge of the first camp of the Heavenly Conquest camp. Originally, there were about 25 million people. Now, the 6 armies added together did not even have 20 million people. However, the remaining people were all elites. The army moved quickly, and its aura suppressed the sky. Lu Feng's army did not even dare to raise their heads. Whoosh! Chu Shijun held his sword and wore a mask. The killing intent in his eyes was even more intense. He gradually entered the killing path. Compared to the handsome youth from back then, there was no connection at all. At this moment, Chu Shijun looked more like Chu Jun. However, there was also a shadow of Chu Shijun. This time, Quang Manor's entire army was mobilized. Only Jian Qinxue had not appeared. Tap tap tap, when the army moved out, everything avoided them. Lu Feng led 5 million experts and quickly reached the center of the universe through the teleportation formation. At this moment, Yi Qinghan began to rebuild the teleportation steel and reach the border of the universe. A few years later, the 20 million strong army spread across the border of the universe and occupied all the major planets. Whoosh! Boom! Yi Qinghan laid down the sky prison formation. Without his permission, no one could fly. The heaven-defying light enveloped the border. Class 1 Hall's army looked around in shock. They were surrounded by Quang Manor's army. Even their escape route was cut off. Kill! Leave no one alive, Yi Qinghan said coldly as he waved his hand. Class 1 Hall's army spread too far. Yi Qinghan could not destroy everything on a large scale. After all, there were still some planets with life. It was not a good thing to kill too many people. Right now, he could only mobilize the army and exclude the planets with life. In an instant, blood dyed the sky red. Blood flowed everywhere in the universe. Chapter 29-32. Crazy Manor, Gu Qingyu, Mu Zhuang, Lin Wutian, Qitian Monkey King, Green Lotus Sword Fairy, Li Peiza, Yan Yunbei, Sui Shuguang, and Shi Gu. Flame Clan, only Hualing Tian and Yi Qingqing were left. Zhu Hai and the 10 saint brothers and sisters had all died in battle. Not a single one of them had survived. It was an extremely tragic event. Only Li Ying was left behind. After so many years of baptism, her cultivation had indeed reached the immemorial emperor realm, but the price she had paid was too great. There were only a few experts left in the crazed manor. The charity saint, Emperor Yi, and Wu, and the other women had all been eliminated. Their battle prowess could not keep up, and they could not reach the immemorial emperor realm. Even if they were emperors and were lucky enough to survive, their battle prowess would be the weakest. Yi Qinghan counted and clenched his fists. He took a deep breath and looked at Chu Shixian and Lu Feng. They were both half-martial ancestors. It shouldn't be a problem for them to accompany Crazy Manor's experts to kill Class 1 Hall. He needed to guard the area and prevent anyone from escaping. He was also afraid that someone would kill their way to the small life planet and implicate too many innocent people. All the experts came out and pounced on Class 1 Hall's Taigu Emperor Realm and the archaic Master God. Roar, roar! The multicolored snake charged out, wanting to swallow the sky. Its fangs directly shattered the dead planet, and its huge tail swung towards the sky. Unless one was a Taigu Emperor Realm expert, no one could withstand its attack. After being suppressed for so many years, Crazy Manor finally erupted. Their experts seized the air and killed their enemies from 1,000 miles away. Some people didn't even see the enemy before their flesh was pierced. They died without knowing how. Yi Qinghan shattered the Space Master God with one palm. Even his soul origin couldn't escape. The so-called powerful vitality couldn't withstand a single blow in the eyes of those above half-martial ancestor realm. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan attacked continuously, specifically targeting the Taigu Emperor Realm experts. He killed 4 Taigu Emperor Realm experts in a row before stopping. Crazy Manor didn't have many Taigu Emperor Realm experts, but now, they completely suppressed Class 1 Hall in terms of numbers and combat power. Moreover, there were also Lu Feng and Chu Shixian, 2 half-martial ancestors. Whoosh, swish, Yan Yunbei appeared and disappeared like a ghost. Every time he made a move, he would definitely kill. The cold light pierced through the Taigu Emperor's root. Mu Zhuan and the others followed up with another strike. A Taigu Emperor would not be able to hold on for too long. Yi Qinghan looked coldly at the battlefield. This battle had been going on for too long, from the primordial age until now. Countless people had died. The Yan tribe was almost completely annihilated in this battle. Only the Yan Emperor, Yi Qingqing, and Hualing Tian were left. Boom! The spear shattered the void, and the cold energy sealed the void. Li Peiza turned into the spear god and pierced the Taigu Emperor's chest with his spear. Bang! Jiang Jingtian cooperated with Nye Tian and pierced his neck with his spear. Then, Nye Tian used his giant axe to smash Jiang Jingtian's head. More and more primordial emperors from Class 1 Hall died. Almost all the higher-ups of Class 1 Hall were besieged. The higher their cultivation, the more miserable they were besieged. An expert at the Great Circle of the 4th stage was besieged by at least a few thousand 3rd stage realm experts. Killing a higher-up meant that the weakest one was an overlord of the new era. Even if they could not become an area lord, they would still be at the 3rd level of the pyramid. Everyone wanted to make a contribution, but Kuang Fu only wanted revenge. As a member of Kuang Fu, even a soldier was not someone a top expert like Lu Feng dared to offend. The people of Kuang Fu were supreme. The war flag of Class 1 Hall was set ablaze. The flames of war spread to countless dead stars. Some people knelt down and surrendered. Unfortunately, Kuang Fu did not accept anyone's surrender. This was not a simple attack, but revenge. The number of casualties increased, but Kuang Fu had many experts. The vanguard was the first to charge. He would rather be heavily injured than give up on a small soldier. The soldiers behind the vanguard were not afraid of death. With such generals, what was there to be afraid of? On the battlefield, the more one feared death, the easier it was to die. Kuang Fu's momentum crushed Class 1 Hall. The 5 million soldiers led by Lu Feng supported them from the side. Corpses piled up like mountains and blood flowed like rivers. Victory and defeat were decided. Yi Qinghan looked up at the sky and waved his hand. Against the will of the heavens, he looked down at the border and searched for Jian Qinshue's whereabouts. 5,000 years was enough for a civilization to develop. Jian Qinshu should be able to repair it. However, Yi Qinghan used the will of the heavens to search for Jian Qinshue's whereabouts. The mother vine of the 9-chain gourd had also disappeared. This shouldn't be. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. His eyes were like lightning. He stepped into the depths of the universe, trying to find the mother vine. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Yi Qinghan's speed became faster and faster. He searched half of the universe's border but did not find any trace of the mother vine. Thump thump thump, Yi Qinghan's heart pounded. The bad feeling was getting stronger and stronger. Why didn't the immemorial Yin Yang use her to threaten me? Yi Qinghan muttered to himself. He was most afraid that Jian Qinshu had been killed. At this moment, he muttered to himself and whispered, with the immemorial Yin Yang's wisdom, he definitely wouldn't kill her. Could he be using Qinshu to set up a death trap for me? Hiss hiss hiss, who? Yi Qinghan took a few deep breaths. The most important woman in his heart might not be Emperor Yi but Jian Qinshu. Jian Qinshu had been with him since she was young. She did not ask for any achievements or fame. She quietly guarded the aged Wang Shi and the young Yi Mingxi. She never asked for anything. Even if she deserved it, her heart would be filled with happiness. Yi Qinghan knew that even a happy smile from Jian Qinshu would make him inexplicably happy. What was love? Yi Qinghan had an answer in his heart. Love was a habit. When a habit became an addiction, once one wanted to break this habit, there would be a heart-wrenching feeling. It was a suffocating feeling. Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with coldness. The 10 tribulations and 10 lifetimes were not outside of the 5 elements. If he was killed again, even the heavenly king would not be able to save him. The same went for the Yan Emperor. In the future, he would either have to give up on Jian Qinshu or give up on himself. Boom! Yi Qinghan pierced through the Death Star with his blade. His aura shook the heavens. You wanted me to help you but you never helped me. Is it that difficult to protect a woman? Emotionless and desireless? Then why do you want to protect the order of the law? Isn't it to rule? Yi Qinghan roared while pointing at the sky. Boom! The heavens roared and all laws wailed. Defying the heavenly Tao, fighting against the heavenly Tao, trying to replace it. However, this was not easy to do. The immemorial Yin Yang and Yen Yu of the ancestor realm could not do it. Even the Yen Emperor would only dare to say that the heavens were human when he reached the peak. Yi Qinghan was flustered and exasperated. The immemorial Yin Yang always poked at his reverse scale. This kind of person would not forgive himself if he did not kill him. Supreme Yi secretly popped his head out and felt Yi Qinghan's killing intent. He trembled all over and said weakly, Boss. Maybe I can tell you some information about the Qiu Tian region. Swish, Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly as he stared at Supreme Yi who was on his shoulder. He slowly let go of Zhong Kuang in his hand and grabbed him in his palm. He asked eerily, "Little thing, how much more have you not told me?" Supreme martial artist Ye's entire body trembled as he grinned and said, "Boss, actually there isn't much left." "There really isn't much left, I swear." Yi Qinghan's gaze became colder and colder. He felt that he had survived Supreme Ye's deception for the rest of his life. He was really strong. Chapter 29-33. The divine bird was weak, so he really didn't dare to tell Yi Qinghan the truth. Otherwise, Yi Qinghan would beat him to death without blinking an eye. At this moment, Supreme Yi was bowing in currying favor. Crack crack crack, Yi Qinghan had a premonition that this guy was definitely not the so-called divine bird Supreme Yi. He shook his neck, and the joints all over his body made crisp sounds. "I'll give you one more chance. Hand over all your secrets. One less thing, and you can go see your father." "I'm not joking," Yi Qinghan said coldly. The divine bird was so frightened by Yi Qinghan's killing intent that it almost couldn't bear it. Yi Qinghan would scare it before, but this time, he really revealed his killing intent. It showed that he wasn't joking. "Boss. I'm also from Qiu Tian domain. Actually, I'm the New Order. I also want to protect Qinxue, but you know my strength. I'm just a decoration. I'm good at scolding people, but when it comes to fighting, I'm just a piece of trash." The divine bird shrank his head and said softly. Buzz, Yi Qinghan's brain exploded. This guy was actually the heavenly Tao order. Didn't they say that the order was emotionless? The heavenly Tao order had been with him for so many years, but he didn't know. "Ha ha ha," Yi Qinghan sneered and asked, "Then what the hell is your father?" "He's a complete piece of trash. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been suppressed by the primeval Yin Yang. He evolved a new order and used my mother to send me to you. Then he faked his death and fled, leaving behind a lonely and helpless child like me." "Wah. Boss, don't be angry. I didn't mean to lie to you. I'm still a child. If you're angry, just wait until you open the primal chaos heavens and find him to settle accounts. Beat him up every day, and I'll clap my hands and cheer for you." Paragon Ye's tears flowed like a river, and he put on a pitiful appearance. It was a complete disgrace to the heavenly Taos. Crack 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 crack, Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and casually threw Sovereign Yi aside. He slapped his head and cursed, "Damn, I'm really drunk. I was actually deceived by a bastard son for so long. I'm not lying, boss. It's true. I really don't dare to reveal my identity. I've been acting crazy all day. But if I'm discovered by the primordial Yin Yang, I'll be finished." Supreme Being Yi transformed into a human and pleaded with a fawning expression, "Boss, don't be angry. You'll be the boss in the future too." Yi Qinghan took a few deep breaths again, but he was unable to calm the emotions in his heart. Supreme Sovereign Yi and his father were complete bastards, old bastards and little bastards. Ah, Yi Qinghan clutched his head, feeling a splitting headache. Even the Flame Emperor wouldn't be able to predict the current situation, let alone Yan Yu and immemorial Yin Yang. The 3 traps set by immemorial Yin Yang, Yan Yu, and Lord Liang were enough to make people despair. However, although the chaotic heavenly domain had lost control, it had set up an even bigger trap, trapping everyone in it. Boss, it's not that I want to lie to you. But if I had told you the truth earlier, you wouldn't have helped me fight against that old bastard immemorial Yin Yang. Supreme Being Yi said helplessly. Yi Qinghan pointed at Supreme Being Yi. His finger was trembling, and his brows were tightly knitted. He and Supreme Being Yi had been together for so many years. It would be a lie to say that they didn't have any feelings for each other. He couldn't possibly kill Supreme Being Yi for lying to him, right? That would be too heartless. Plop. Supreme Being Yi said with a pitiful face, "Boss, if you're in a bad mood, hit me a few times. If I beg for mercy, my father won't have a chrysanthemum." Yi Qinghan didn't say anything because he didn't know how to treat this little bastard. "Boss, you're my only family. What's the difference between my father and Yan Yu? He doesn't do anything. How could he leave his son behind and run away? As long as he has some humanity, he wouldn't do such a thing. You're my boss, you're like a brother and a father to me. I really don't have any ill intentions towards you. All these years, I've been loyal and devoted to you without any second thoughts. If I say anything that goes against my heart, I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death." Phew, Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He slowly leaned against the wall and sat down, rubbing his forehead with both hands. "Then tell me, has Chen Shui been captured? What's going on with the begging heavenly domain?" Yi Qinghan asked coldly. Supreme Being Yi shrunk his head and replied uncertainly, "Young Mistress Chen Shui should have been captured. My father must have been captured because he couldn't stop it. That old bastard is the heavenly Tao. He's useless. However, I know what the begging heavenly domain is." Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He leaned against the wall and asked weakly, "What exactly is the begging heavenly domain?" "The begging heavenly domain is the place where the Taigu Emperor prayed to the heavenly Tao. There's origin energy above the progenitor realm inside. Your corresponding life star evolved from the energy inside the begging heavenly domain. My father used all his strength to send me and the star out." Supreme Being Yi glanced at Yi Qinghan from the corner of his eyes. He didn't dare to look directly at him. Yi Qinghan looked at Supreme Being Yi coldly and asked hoarsely, "It's that simple?" "It's not simple. That's the origin energy above the progenitor realm. It's the beginning of everything. It can maintain the new order of the chaos heavenly domain. How can it be simple?" Supreme Being Yi asked in an exaggerated manner. "Have you told me everything you know?" Yi Qinghan asked coldly. Supreme Being Yi replied with certainty, "I've already said it. I won't hide anything anymore. Boss, if you still can't forgive me, as long as you're willing to, you can slash me here." After saying that, Supreme Being Yi stomped his legs on the ground and tilted his neck. He might as well smash the pot that had been broken. Yi Qinghan glanced at Supreme Being Yi from the corner of his eyes and said coldly, "It's too early to say whether I'll kill you or not. Let's talk about how to open the Chaos Heavenly Domain first. I want to enter the Chaos Heavenly Domain first and find Chen Shui. This. When you cultivate to the progenitor realm, you should have a chance to open the Chaos Heavenly Domain without harming the origin energy of the ancient immortal world. Right now, the Chaos Heavenly Domain is completely controlled by the primordial Yin Yang. If he controls the Chaos Heavenly Domain, we'll all die," Supreme Being Yi said seriously. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows, stood up, drew his saber, and left. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh! Yi Qinghan flew into the air and headed straight for the center of the battlefield. At this moment, the battle was completely one-sided. Kuang Fu had too much of an advantage, and the people of Class 1 Hall no longer had the courage to continue fighting. The Taigu Emperor of Class 1 Hall was dead, and more than half of Chu Shijun and Lu Feng were killed. After all, they were half-progenitor realm. The rest were all killed by the experts of Kuang Fu. In the end, Mu Zhuang, Gu Qingyu, and the others charged into the enemy group. Everywhere they passed, corpses piled up like mountains. Puchi. Boom. Spears pierced through the enemy's bodies, and the army began to finish them off. Those who were not dead were all killed. With the Taigu Emperor leading the charge, Class 1 Hall was defeated even faster. At this moment, Class 1 Hall felt the feeling of being chased by Kuang Fu. Yi Qinghan returned to the battlefield. The battle had been decided. He then said, "Clean up the battlefield. I'll return to the ancient immortal world first." Chapter 29-34. Whoosh, whoosh. Yi Qinghan sped through space, leaping and shifting in the universe, his eyes staring at the end of the universe. "Wait for me, boss, don't abandon me," Supreme Yi shouted from behind, looking very pitiful. However, this time, Yi Qinghan was truly angry. Yi Qinghan traveled through the universe and returned to the ancient immortal world. At this moment, Yan Emperor was sitting alone by the barrier, still comprehending the most fundamental essence of the universe. He was only one step away from reaching the peak. Whoosh, Yi Qinghan appeared beside Yan Emperor, gazing at the majestic barrier in the depths of the purple clouds. The combination of the three domains formed an invincible and drought-resistant region that was countless times more stable than the ancient immortal world. "Senior Flame Emperor, I've received some news regarding the Sky Seeker domain. That place is where the origin aura above the progenitor realm gathers. The alien star and the new order come from the Sky Seeker domain. The selfless realm can only be comprehended in the Sky Seeker domain. We won't make it in time. If we wait any longer, immemorial Yin Yang and Yen Yu will most likely arrive before us," Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Yan Emperor frowned. He didn't know about this. Before he became an emperor, he couldn't enter the Seeking Heaven domain. This. Yan Emperor hesitated. He turned to look at the ancient immortal world. If they attacked the primal chaos heavenly domain recklessly, the ancient immortal world would definitely be destroyed. There would be no hope and countless living beings would vanish. "What do you think we should do?" Yan Emperor asked. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and said in a hoarse voice, "Break the connection between the ancient immortal world and the primal chaos heavenly domain and push it back to the depths of the universe. We'll fight here and force Yen Yu and immemorial Yin Yang out." Yan Emperor's eyes were shining. The price of forcibly breaking the connection between the ancient immortal world and the primal chaos heavenly domain wasn't something the common people could bear. Once we break the connection between the ancient immortal world and the primal chaos heavenly domain, the ancient immortal world will have no laws of order. Everyone will become mortals and might grow old in a few decades. Yan Emperor reminded in a deep voice. A few decades could lead to the collapse of the order of the ancient immortal world. That would be the true Dark Age. The common people here would be replaced by their descendants. Once they die, newborns would be born. Everything would change of dynasties. The Crazy Mansion's army wouldn't be an exception. Everyone. Apart from those above the Emperor realm, everyone would die in a few decades. This was a price. Even Yi Qinghan couldn't bear such a price. Yi Qinghan paced back and forth and said in a low voice, "Do you think that the primordial yin-yang immortal world would separate the order of the primordial immortal world and the chaotic heavenly domain, weakening the vitality of the common people and increasing the frequency of dynastic changes?" The Yan Emperor's eyes twitched as he exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and said seriously, "He might not be able to do that. Heaven, heavens, heavens, heaven, heavens, heaven, Tao. S heavens, S Tao, S Tao." Yi Qinghan and Yan Emperor looked at each other. They didn't expect the primal chaos heavenly domain to break the connection between the two. Many people's cultivation dropped drastically. Only the Taigu Emperor was still firmly above the Emperor realm. They already had their own minor Dao. Even if the Great Dao's Dao was weakened by half, it wouldn't affect them at all. The Crazy Mansion's army's cultivation dropped collectively. They fell from the fourth stage of the primal chaos heavenly domain to the mystic immortal realm. They even started to fall toward the little spirit immortal realm. In the depths of the universe, such a realm was simply courting death. Lu Feng's army was also dropping rapidly. Their faces were filled with fear and despair. What's going on? Many people couldn't breathe. Their faces were hideous. Whoosh! The Emperor Realm experts waved their hands and kept the army into their internal worlds. They were now at the level of the Taigu Emperor. It was easy for them to take these people away. As a half-martial ancestor, Lu Feng brought his 4 million army back to the ancient immortal world. He wanted to see what was going on. Gu Qingyu and the others were also shocked. The two great Daos intertwined and filled the sky, replacing the heavens' Dao. However, these two great Daos were unfamiliar. No one cultivated them. Therefore, they could only maintain the order and operation of the universe. They couldn't prevent people's cultivation from dropping. Whoosh. Just then, Sovereign Yi rushed towards the barrier and shouted, "Boss, don't be rash." Yi Qinghan turned to look at Sovereign Yi and shook his head helplessly. He said to Yan Emperor, "This guy is the new order. I didn't know that after following me for so many years." Yi Qinghan laughed bitterly at himself. This was truly too embarrassing. Yan Emperor looked at Sovereign Yi in surprise. Yan Emperor's Dao had some news about Sovereign Yi. Therefore, he was also in disbelief. He's the new order born in the primal chaos heavenly domain. He has feelings. Why do I feel that the new order is so despicable? Yan Emperor said. Yi Qinghan touched his head. Even Yan Emperor felt that this guy was despicable. One could see how much tolerance he had over the years. That's not right. Yan Emperor suddenly shouted, since he's the new order, he can enter the primal chaos heavenly domain. The barrier can't stop him. Yi Qinghan was so angry that he had forgotten about Sovereign Yi. Seeing him arrive, he waved his hand and grabbed him. He said coldly, "Go into the chaotic heavenly domain and destroy the barrier outside. We'll rush in and deal with those two old fogies. We'll save your father from this calamity." Supreme Ye's entire body trembled as he knelt before Yi Qinghan in fright. He said in terror, "Boss, you might as well just kill me. Wouldn't I be walking right into your trap if I entered the chaotic heavenly domain?" Yi Qinghan was so angry that he rolled his eyes and scolded, "The two of us are helping you. We're not afraid of death. How can you slap us to death?" No. Boss, you don't understand. If those two old men refine me, they can be completely lawless. Sovereign Yi said as he waved his hand. When Yi Qinghan heard this, he immediately rubbed his hands together and asked, "If I refine you, will I be able to do as I please?" Plop, Sovereign Yi had just stood up but he was so frightened that he knelt on the ground and slapped his face hard. "Boss, you're not in the ancestor realm. It's useless even if you refine me." Sovereign Yi explained in horror. Yi Qinghan obviously didn't believe him. How could this guy be speaking the truth? Even Yan Emperor felt that refining Sovereign Yi was a little unreliable. This guy didn't have any combat ability. At most, he would enter the ancestor realm. It was unrealistic for him to be lawless and surpass the ancestor realm. Just as Yi Qinghan was hesitating, the barrier in front suddenly shone brightly and bathed in holy light. Jian Qinshue flew out. Her face was holy and her eyes were clear. She didn't seem to have suffered any injuries. Yi Qinghan wanted to rush over but was stopped by Yan Emperor. "She is not your wife, Jian Qinshue," Yan Emperor said with certainty. Yi Qinghan was stunned. How could he not know his wife? The person in front of him was Jian Qinxue. It doesn't feel like it. I think there's something wrong. Yan Emperor reminded him with certainty. Chapter 29:35. Yan Emperor's affirmation made Yi Qinghan's eyes flash with a strange light. However, he quickly regained his composure and even looked forward to it. Whoosh, whoosh, Jian Qinshue's figure flashed and appeared at the barrier. She reached out and hugged Yi Qinghan. "Husband, it's great to see you alive," Jian Qinshue said gently. Yi Qinghan's heart skipped a beat. He was sure that it was Jian Qinshue. After hugging her tightly, he asked in a low voice, "Did the immemorial yin-yang make things difficult for you? What about the 9-linked gourd mother vine?" "No, they convinced me to come here and ask for peace. They hope that the war will end. As for the mother vine, they will be kept as hostages. If you agree to peace, they are willing to hand over the chaotic heavenly domain and the mother vine in exchange for the hostages." "This is for long-term peace," Jian Qinshue said softly. Before Yi Qinghan could respond, Yan Emperor said straightforwardly, "Agree to peace." Yi Qinghan frowned. After all, he owed the mother vine. If he did not agree, the mother vine would definitely die. However, if he agreed, the war might really end like this. The deaths of so many people in the crazy manner would be in vain. "The ancient heavenly emperor will die," Yi Qinghan said coldly. "They will not agree. Otherwise, they will have no subordinates," Yan Emperor said calmly. Yi Qinghan frowned and looked at Yan Emperor. He did not expect Yan Emperor to be more straightforward than him. After all, the mother vine was killed by the immemorial Yin-Yang Emperor and his own father. Was he really willing to let them go? Sigh, Yan Emperor sighed and said softly, "Forget it. There is no need to continue fighting. If the stalemate continues, the older generation of your crazy manor, except for the Taigu Emperor, will all die within 100 years. The entire ancient immortal world will grow old. There is no need to treat the life and death of the common people as a trivial matter just because of the grudges between us. Otherwise, what is the difference between me and them?" Yan Emperor's righteousness convinced Yi Qinghan wholeheartedly. He deserved to have such combat strength. Since Senior has decided, Qinghan won't say anything more. "Then let's have peace." Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He was also unwilling to let the older generation of Quang Manor pass away. Jian Qinshue, who was lying in Yi Qinghan's arms, was surprised and excited. Then, he broke free from Yi Qinghan's restraint and said excitedly, "It would be great if there is peace. I really don't want to see any more dead people." Whoosh, 2 blazing suns rose from the depths of the heaven domain. "My son, I didn't want to give up on you back then either. However, for the sake of the Yen clan's longevity, there are some sacrifices that must be made. Without becoming an ancestor, how can I protect my clansmen? As for the dead members of the Yen clan, I will resurrect them sooner or later. As for the dead members of the Quang Manor, I will also resurrect them. As long as you can forgive us for what we have done, everything will be peaceful. Is that okay?" Yan Yu said in a deep voice. The Yan Emperor took a deep breath as tears welled up in his eyes. Back then, he was obsessed with the Yen tribe. His goal was to make the Yen tribe a supreme being instead of a slave. His idol was the Yen ancestor. But now, everything had turned into a joke. "Ha ha ha ha," Yen Emperor turned and left without saying a word. His back was full of vicissitudes. The human sovereign sword in his hand hummed softly. Yi Qinghan held his long saber and said in a hoarse voice, "Yan Yu, immemorial Yin Yang, I will give you 3 months to separate the primal chaos heavenly domain and let the laws of order return. From today onwards, the primal chaos heavenly domain will be independent. We will not allow anyone to enter the primal chaos heavenly domain. As for the ancient immortal world, we will split it into 4. Leave the mother vine and the 9-linked ring gourd to me. From today onwards, the ancient immortal world will be peaceful. Tribulation Taker, Flame Emperor, this ancestor has never admired anyone in my life. But this time, I really admire the two of you. As long as there is peace, this ancestor will do as you said and establish an independent chaotic heavenly domain. From now on, neither you nor I will be able to enter. However, the Mother Vine and the Nine-Linked Gourd must stay. I promise them that they can live safely in the Yin-Yang domain. They will have a high status and no one will be able to take away half of the gourd. Yi Qinghan frowned. Clearly, he was unwilling to hand over the Mother Vine and the Nine-Linked Ring Gourd to immemorial Yin-Yang. Then hand over the ancient heavenly emperor to me. Yi Qinghan gestured with his hand. Immemorial Yin-Yang mocked, Headmaster Yi, would you be willing to hand over Gu Qingyu of the Crazy Manor to me? Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. Then you are not sincere. I have shown you my sincerity. I will release Jian Qinxue and the Mother Vine. I will only leave the 18 gourds as hostages. If Headmaster Yi wants anything else, you will have to show your sincerity and exchange it with the older generation of the Crazy Manor. Immemorial Yin-Yang said. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth. He did not have much choice as the Mother Vine was still in the hands of immemorial Yin-Yang. All right, we will do as you say. The ancient immortal world will be divided into north and south with the primal chaos heavenly domain as the boundary. The central region will be divided into 4 regions with the Yen tribe's ancestral land as the boundary, Yi Qinghan said through gritted teeth. Immemorial Yin-Yang and Yen Yu smiled faintly and nodded in agreement to Yi Qinghan's request. As long as the Nine-Linked Ring Gourd was in their hands, Yi Qinghan had to maintain peace for the sake of the Mother Vine. Furthermore, judging from Yen Emperor's attitude, he did not want the common people to pay a heavy price for his hatred. Whoosh! The 2 ancestor realm experts blocked Yi Qinghan and started to separate the primal chaos heavenly domain and the seeking heavenly domain. They also laid down an ancestor realm barrier in the seeking heavenly domain. Yi Qinghan also participated in the laying of the barrier. Anyone who entered the seeking heavenly domain would alert the 3. If no one entered the seeking heavenly domain and no one stepped into the Anatar realm, the great realm that transcended the ancestor realm, the world would be divided into 4 regions. No one could change this stalemate. Once the primal chaos heavenly domain was released, the heavenly Tao and all laws returned. Everyone's realm returned and their vitality was restored. Supremacy Yi looked at Yi Qinghan with a touched expression and said respectfully, Boss, thank you. Get lost, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Hua, Supremacy Yi slowly retreated into the primal chaos heavenly domain. Now that the heavenly Tao had regained control of the ancient immortal world and the order laws, Ancestor Yen and immemorial Yin-Yang were no longer interfering. Everything returned to normal. The ancient immortal world fell into a dead silence. The world was divided into 4 regions, forming an endless border. Jian Qinxue looked up at Yi Qinghan and asked softly, Husband, will there really be peace like this? Yi Qinghan replied desolately, Senior Yen Emperor does not want the common people to pay for his revenge. The Nine-Linked Ring Gourd is still in the hands of immemorial Yin-Yang. We have no other choice. There is no leeway. Peace is also a kind of return. All right, let's have peace. After fighting for so many years, so many brothers and sisters of Kuang Manor have died. There is really no need for this, Jian Qinxue said softly. Hiss. Hiss, Qi Yen roared and soared into the sky. Yi Qinghan brought Jian Qinxue to the edge of the ancient immortal world and brought back everyone from Kuang Manor. They chose the undying immortal world as Kuang Manor's base. Back then, all the small planes had been merged together. Kuang Manor was not interested in other places. Yen Emperor sat in the ancestral land of the Yen clan for 100 years. He hugged his sword and leaned against Qi Yen. Yen Yu did not dare to approach him several times. Chapter 29-36. The Flame Emperor was reminiscing, but so was Yi Qinghan. Now that he had reached the peak, the four great experts had divided the world. The Flame Emperor had no one to share it with, but Yi Qinghan couldn't see those familiar faces. Everything returned to tranquility. Yi Qinghan sat on the same spot as the Owl War Star. Now that the divine bird wasn't here, he felt that something was missing. Da-da-da, Yi Qinghan knocked on the stone tablet. Yi Xiaosa, the god-devourer eagle, and the little golden crow were all listless. Obviously, they couldn't accept such a result. What a childish scheme. I can't do anything about it. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly as he muttered to himself. Hua, Yi Qinghan laid on the grass and looked up at the sky. It was as if he could see the even more despicable face of the divine bird's father. He really wanted to smash the sky with a punch. What scheme? Yi Xiaosa crawled to Yi Qinghan's side and asked flatteringly. Yi Qinghan glanced at Yi Xiaosa from the corner of his eyes. He didn't answer because the scheme was very simple. He, the Flame Emperor, the immemorial Yin Yang, and Yan Yu all knew about it, but they couldn't do anything about it. It's too tiring to think about schemes. It's enough to have boss to think about it. Boss, I just want to know if the despicable bird will come back. The god-devourer eagle's honest expression was a little lonely as he asked softly. Yi Qinghan felt like his head was about to explode at the mention of Sovereign Yi. He didn't even want to think about it. Maybe he won't come back. Yi Qinghan said softly. The heavenly Tao gave birth to a new order because it wanted to break free from the control of the immemorial Yin Yang. Now that it had broken free, there was no need for a new order. Sovereign Ye's order might not need to appear. Thinking of this, Yi Qinghan's heart ached. He and Sovereign Ye's pairing had already become a habit. They had already transcended love and family. It was a relationship where blood was thicker than water and couldn't be separated. Won't come back. Yi Qinghan glared at the heavens. All his motivation came from his unwillingness to accept the current situation. This isn't what I want. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan stood up and clenched his fists. He said in an awe-inspiring tone, what I want is to reign supreme. Senior Yan Emperor, have you forgotten your will? Exterminating yin and yang, exterminating evil and treachery, cutting off all eternity on behalf of the heavens. If you don't do it, I'll do it. Boom! Yi Qinghan's aura soared to the sky as he drew his blade and walked forward. Every step he took crossed a region. His aura that could strike the heavens woke up immemorial Yin Yang, Yan Yu, and Yan Emperor. The three experts used the great Tao to look down on the common people at the same time. They stared at Yi Qinghan. Come, come, come. If this goes on, how meaningless would life be? Yi Qinghan raised his head and roared. He wanted to break this stalemate. He wanted to enter the heaven domain. If he won, he would transcend the ancestor realm. If he lost, he would die. It was better than being in this half-dead, half-alive state. The three supremes stared at Yi Qinghan. They didn't know what he wanted to do. Let's make a bet. The bet is the right to cultivate in the heaven domain for 3,000 years. Do the three of you dare to make a bet? Yi Qinghan scanned the heavens and asked coldly. No. Immemorial Yin Yang and Yan Yu replied at the same time. Yi Qinghan couldn't help but reveal a disdainful smile. It seemed like they had already lost in their hearts. They didn't dare to risk it. They didn't want to give Yi Qinghan a chance to reach the top. If they didn't enter the primal chaos heaven domain and obtain half of the alien star root's basic source, Yi Qinghan wouldn't be able to become an ancestor. Everything was set in stone. Don't you want to transcend nature? Yi Qinghan sneered. Yan Yu replied coldly, Abode Lord Yi, you are thinking too far ahead. There is no way to transcend the ancestor realm. Then what are you afraid of? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. Because we desire peace. Immemorial Yin Yang said solemnly, look at the common people. They desire peace more. Ha 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 ha, Yi Qinghan raised his head and laughed. He would believe anyone who said they desired peace, but he didn't believe Immemorial Yin Yang's words. Yan Emperor didn't believe it either. However, he didn't force Immemorial Yin Yang too much. Everything was predestined. Those who shouldn't escape were destined not to escape. He had already waited for 2 eras. A little more time wouldn't make a difference. Abode Lord Yi, you are too murderous. Immemorial Yin Yang stared at Yi Qinghan, reminded, wait until you settle down for 10,000 years. Wait until you see the common people develop for 10,000 years. Then, you can talk to this ancestor about transcending the ancestor realm. Immemorial Yin Yang tried to use the common people to tie down Yi Qinghan. However, he didn't know that Yi Qinghan had refined a plane in order to survive. That plane was his everything. Yi Qinghan retracted his cold gaze. The corner of his lips curled up as he mocked hoarsely, then let's wait 10,000 years and see if my murderous heart is purified. In the ancestral land of the Yan clan, Yan Emperor stood in the same place as before. He waved the human sovereign sword elegantly, causing the sky to tremble. 9-colored, can you still watch my sword dance? Yan Emperor's sword moved faster and faster. It was so fast that one couldn't tell the real body from the afterimage. The sorrow and anger in his heart poured out from the tip of the sword. Instantly, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Heavy rain poured down. However, wherever the human sovereign sword passed, everything avoided it. The great Tao retreated. Hiss. 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 Hiss, Qi Yan hissed. He looked at Yan Emperor as if he was possessed. Whoosh, a goddess seemed to appear in the sky, dancing gracefully. Her 9-colored robe fluttered in the wind, causing the common people to dance. Whoosh! Yan Emperor flew over. However, he missed. 9-colored Fan Xian was nowhere to be seen. 8 lives in exchange for Yan Emperor's return. 9-colored Fan Xian's love surpassed everything. Ah, Yan Emperor's sword pierced the sky as he roared, what is all this for? Fan Xin. 36 Yan clan elders, return to your positions. As long as you are willing to return, I am willing to be an ordinary Yan. Whoosh! Boom, in the ancestral land of Yan clan, a tall mountain rose from the ground. The human emperor peak seized the might of the firmament. The mountains trembled and everything returned to its original state according to Yan Emperor's memories. However, the people were no longer there. Putong, Yan Emperor knelt halfway up human sovereign peak. 9-colored Fan Xian danced with Yan Emperor with her life. She had already merged with Yan Emperor. Woo woo woo, ah, Yan Emperor's body curled up in extreme pain. His father abandoned him, his nephew betrayed him, and his clansmen died. He was alone in this world. Even 9-colored Fan Xian was destroyed because of him. There was no more 9-colored Fan Xian. Crying softly was perhaps the most painful thing. Yan Yu stood in the distance and watched. There was a trace of regret in his eyes. If not for the ancestor realm, he wouldn't have given up Yan Emperor, his clansmen, and everything. Now that he had reached the peak, what he gained seemed to be disproportionate to what he lost. In the distant horizon, Yi Qinghan stood alone on the heaven-defying path. When he saw Yan Emperor stubbornly turning into a demon, he felt sorrow in his heart. What he lost could never be regained. Whine! Boom! The heavenly Tao roared as if to express its apology. However, it was too useless. It couldn't even suppress the immemorial Yin Yang. Now, it had to settle for the 5th position. Is there any hope? Yi Qinghan asked hoarsely. Buzz. Boom boom boom, the heavenly Tao gathered and created a phenomenon. At this moment, in the new order, Supreme Yi avoided the Heavenly Tao Order and approached Qiu Tian domain from the chaotic Heavenly Domain. There were 3 boundaries there. These weren't ordinary boundaries. The Heavenly Tao Order couldn't get close to Qiu Tian domain. However, he wanted to take the risk. He was the same as Yi Qinghan. After countless years of companionship, he already had feelings for Yi Qinghan. It was fine if he didn't want to be the emperor, but it was impossible without his boss. Boss, I'm loyal to you. If I win the bet this time, I'll help you step into the progenitor realm. If I lose, don't blame me. I'm definitely not an ungrateful person, Supreme Yi whispered with a firm expression. Chapter 2937 In the sky-gazing peak of the crazy manor, Yi Qinghan was lying in his armchair, thinking with his eyes closed. You guys set up a series of traps. Do you think I don't know? That's just what you guys think. How laughable. I'm not a human if I can't see through the lies. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly as his lips curled into a cold smile. Everything is just beginning. You guys started the beginning, and I'll end it. Play to your heart's content. Don't disappoint me. Yi Qinghan was also gambling. If he agreed to peace, would it be possible for him to chase away Supreme Sovereign Yi, this lowly bird who had followed him? After being with him for so many years, would he be reluctant to part with him just like that? Whoosh! Don't disappoint me. Yi Qinghan slowly stood up and muttered to himself. Using Sovereign Yi was the simplest method, and the losses would be the least. The Yen Emperor knelt on the human emperor peak, unable to hide the hatred in his eyes. It was just that Yen Yu couldn't see it. Yen Yu destroyed everything he had. He destroyed the Yen clan, destroyed his persistence, and destroyed the 9-colored Brahma heart. The Yen Emperor's killing intent was set long ago. However, he still had some mercy in his heart. He wasn't willing to sacrifice the common people for his revenge. Whoosh! Memories flashed in the Yen Emperor's eyes. The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Learn to endure. Don't be like uncle. If I die in battle, I only hope that you will do one thing in your life. Kill the immemorial Yin Yang, the Yen Emperor said. Uncle, I understand. The ancient heavenly emperor's round eyes flashed with wisdom as he said firmly. The war god hugged the ancient heavenly emperor in his arms and said, a man should endure humiliation. Even if the common people can't tolerate you, you have to be firm in your beliefs. In the future, no matter who doesn't believe you, uncle will. The Yen Emperor's lips curled into a sharp smile, which didn't match his temperament. I believe you. Aside from Yen Yu, no one else betrayed me. The Yen Emperor muttered as he held the human emperor sword tightly. He looked dispirited. Back then, the tallest tree in the forest was unwilling to be patient. Now that he was reborn, the Yen Emperor learned to be patient. He had seen through the primordial Yin Yang Emperor's plan, and he believed that Yi Qinghan had seen through it as well. Everything was just being patient. Regardless of whether the ancient celestial emperor had truly betrayed them, he was still setting up his own plan, a plan that he could control. However, he did not tell Yi Qinghan. A smart person did not need to explain, but a stupid person could not. Everyone was setting up a trap. It all depended on who would win. Quang Manor, Heaven-suppressing palace. Yi Qinghan personally cooked a meal for everyone in Quang Manor. He seemed to be enjoying the current peace. Lu Feng had come as well. Aside from Chu Shijungxian, Hua Lingtian and Yi Qinxing were also present. Chu Shijungxian had already returned to Emperor Liang's inner world while Hua Lingtian and Yi Qinxing had gone to the Yen clan's ancestral land. The army filled up the entire heaven-suppressing palace, each table was filled with 10 people and there were all sorts of delicacies on the table. Hua! Yi Qinghan raised a bowl of wine, looked at the Quang Manor army and said solemnly, the first bowl of wine is for the heroes who died. I am grateful for every brother and sister who died for Quang Manor. I will never forget this. Hua! Boom! The army stood up in unison. The war drums thundered and Quang Manor's war flag was raised to the sky. To our brothers who died. The Quang Manor army said in unison and poured the wine in their cups onto the ground. Hua! The air was filled with the smell of wine. Hua! Yi Qinghan raised his cup again and said solemnly, the second bowl is for the brothers. To Quang Manor Master. Gulp, the army raised their bowls and drank without hesitation. The strong wine flowed into their limbs and bones. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and drank all the wine in the bowl. The third bowl is for my selfishness. To my wife, Jian Qinxue. She has been with me all these years and yet, she has never had a good day. Hua hua hua. Yi Qinghan personally poured a bowl of wine and brought it to Jian Qinxue. With a smile on his face, he tried his best. Hua! Yi Qinghan knelt on one knee and brought the wine in the bowl to Jian Qinxue, indicating for her to drink it. The army was stunned. They did not expect Yi Qinghan to treat a woman so seriously. Yi Qinghan looked up at Jian Qinxue and muttered to himself, this meal is for Qinxue. This bowl of wine is specially prepared for you. Jian Qinshue's eyes were full of smiles. It was the most sincere smile, the happiest smile. My husband, please get up. How can I accept your meal? Everything I do is of my own accord. Jian Qinxue said gently as she reached out to pull Yi Qinghan up. Yi Qinghan said firmly, no one can accept this meal, not even the heavens. However, you can. If you want me to get up, please drink this bowl of wine. Jian Qinxue had no choice but to drink the bowl of strong wine in front of Yi Qinghan. Hua! Yi Qinghan smiled, but there was sadness in the depths of his smile. I'm sorry. Yi Qinghan reached out and held Jian Qinshue's delicate shoulders, pulling her into his embrace. Jian Qinshue's face and eyes were full of happiness. At this moment, even Emperor Yi, Green Lotus Sword Immortal, and the others were jealous. Yi Qinghan had never treated them like this before. The army gave their blessings. Snow fell from the heavens, covering millions of miles. In the blink of an eye, it was as if the heavens and earth had turned white. After a long time, Yi Qinghan let go of Jian Qinxue and put away the bowl in Jian Qinshue's hands. He said firmly, this is definitely not the first time you've drunk wine. Put it away. In the future, we'll use this bowl to drink with everyone. Hua! The army put away the bowl in their hands. It was more precious than any treasure in the world. Boom! Bang! Yi Qinghan straightened his body and performed the ancient killing god bow. Hua! Bang! The army was uniform and imposing. The ancient killing god bow was the symbol of Quang Fu. It represented no regrets even if they died. It also represented indomitable will and never compromise. Some people understood it, so they understood it. Some people did not understand it, so they did not understand it. Just like the people of Quang Fu and Lu Feng's army, the meaning of their existence was different. If Yi Qinghan asked what the meaning of their existence was, the answer would definitely be different. Therefore, the ancient killing god bow performed by Lu Feng's army was neither fish nor fowl because they did not understand the people of Quang Fu. Hua! Yi Qinghan waved his hand, and the chess saint and the other commanders of the army quickly withdrew the army. Even if it was peaceful, they would not slack off and were always prepared for war. This was because the people of Quang Fu understood what Yi Qinghan's last bow meant. Indomitable, no regrets even if they died. As long as the enemy was not eliminated, the war would not end. Yi Qinghan looked at the army retreating and felt a little guilty. They should have enjoyed peace, but he had brought them to the abyss again. The next battle would be the final battle. If they won, true peace would come. If they lost, these 20 million people would be wiped out without exception. Jian Qinxue reached out and held Yi Qinghan's hand. She said gently, "Husband, why are you so serious? The war is over. Relax, don't tire yourself out." Yi Qinghan smiled and stroked Jian Qinxue's black hair. He replied, "Yes, it's time to end it. Let's go back to the ancestral land and take a look." Qitian Monkey King, Gu Qingyu, Emperor Yi, Mu Zhuang, Lin Wutian, all the older generation wanted to go back and take a look. Yi Qinghan called out 9 Nether and Lord Fazhen. He led them all the way to the depths of the immortal domain. The immortal domain was the region of the immortal world. Its affiliated planes were at the edge of the immortal domain. That was the root of Kuang Fu. Hua. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and the order that the progenitor realm had forcefully changed was restored. Everything returned to dust. Chapter 29-38. The Owlfall Star was located at the edge of the revival of all things. Therefore, this place was not destroyed and everything was still the same. Jiangning County, Sky Sword Sect. Yi Qinghan did not bring anyone but Jian Qinxue as he stepped into the Sky Sword Sect. Jade Maiden Peak. Jian Qinxue was still very familiar with the place where she cultivated in the past. However, her master, Master Yu, had already transformed into the Tao. Jian Qinxue's eyes flashed with confusion. There was reluctance, sadness, and some other complicated emotions. Hua, Yi Qinghan rubbed Jian Qinxue's head and whispered, "Qinxue, you haven't been back for many years, right?" Jian Qinxue nodded subconsciously. This was where she met Yi Qinghan. This was also where she followed Yi Qinghan away from her master. She followed Yi Qinghan to explore the world without any complaints. "Husband, let's settle down here. I have never asked you for anything. This is just a small request. Since we are at peace, we will return to where we came from. Mother also has the same intention." Jian Qinxue sat on Jade Maiden Peak and touched the stone wall with her jade-like hands. Everything was just like yesterday. Unfortunately, the people from back then were no longer here. The Sky Sword sect had disappeared and was occupied by a new force. However, they did not discover Yi Qinghan and Jian Qinxue. Yi Qinghan looked at the 9 peaks in a daze. There was not much emotion in his eyes. However, Wang Shi had always wanted to come back. Therefore, this place was also one of his points of attachment. Moreover, it was Jian Qinxue's root. Therefore, he also began to miss this place. Hua. Yi Qinghan hugged Jian Qinxue and whispered, "I will come back. However, not now. Maybe after some time. Isn't it at peace? Why do we have to wait?" Jian Qinxue asked in confusion. Yi Qinghan smiled and replied with a hoarse voice, "Silly girl, how can there be complete peace? Wait until I become an ancestor. That will be true peace. At that time, if I don't make a move, Yan Yu and immemorial Yin Yang will not make a move. That is the peace I want. I will wait for you." Jian Qinxue slowly leaned on Yi Qinghan's shoulder and whispered. In the ancestral land of the Yan clan, Yi Qinxing and Hualing Tian, the last 2 successors of the Yan clan, stood beside the Yan emperor. They were determined and persistent. At this moment, if the Yan emperor asked them to die, they would do it without hesitation. Flame Emperor looked like he had aged many years. His face was full of stubble. He drank wine and hugged his sword. He sat like that for a few years. Yi Qinxing and Hualing Tian stood there for a few years as well. They did not say anything and just silently accompanied him. Yan Yu left and didn't pay attention to Yan Emperor anymore. He felt that Yan Emperor was useless and had no more goals. Yan Yu was no longer Yan Emperor. Although the Flame Emperor was drinking, his consciousness was constantly paying attention to the great Tao of man and the great Tao of Yin and Yang. A few years later, even the immemorial Yin Yang stopped paying attention to the Flame Emperor. Whoosh! The Yen Emperor set up an illusory realm. His true body left quietly with the two of them while his clone was still drinking on the human emperor's peak. In a deep valley, birds chirped and flowers bloomed. The Yen Emperor seemed to have changed. His back was facing the two of them, and his hands were behind his back. Your Majesty! My condolences. The Yen clan is not destroyed yet. Your Majesty's will is still there. The revival of the Yen clan is just around the corner. Huoling Tian and Yi Qinqing knelt down on one knee and said respectfully. The Yen Emperor looked at the sky and said indifferently, the two of you, do me a favor. What favor? Yi Qinqing and Huoling Tian rejoiced. They were afraid that the Yen Emperor would not be able to recover from his defeat. Cultivate the second section of the Yen Emperor's Great Tao. There are only 2 moves. The two of you cultivate one each. The Yen Emperor said calmly. Yi Qinqing and Huoling Tian were shocked. What was the use of cultivating one move? The Great Tao of Yin and Yang and the Great Tao of Human Tao have flaws. These 2 moves are meant to deal with Yen Yu and the immemorial Yin Yang. The Yen Emperor said hoarsely. Yi Qinqing and Huoling Tian were excited. The 2 ancestor realms actually had flaws. Didn't that mean that they had a chance to win? Your Majesty, please bestow us the Great Tao. The 2 of them said respectfully again. Whoosh! The Yen Emperor waved his hand and 2 beams of light entered the 2's sea of consciousness. Huoling Tian, you cultivate the chaotic emotions. Your goal is to disturb Yen Yu's state of mind and disrupt his Tao. In the Great Tao of Yin and Yang, the disharmony between Yin and Yang is the flaw of the immemorial Yin and Yang. Yi Qinqing, you cultivate the blazing Yang. Your goal is to disrupt the balance of Yin and Yang between heaven and earth, causing Yang to flourish and Yin to weaken. Yes. The 2 of them said excitedly. Ancestor realms are not easy to kill. You have to be prepared to die. The Yen Emperor looked at the 2 and reminded them. Yi Qinqing took a deep breath and said through gritted teeth, as long as the 36 elders and all the flame people can rest in peace, we will be satisfied even if we die. I think so too. We will die before we die. Huoling Tian said firmly. We, the flame people, will not be slaves even if we die. Those who offend our race will be killed no matter how strong they are. The one who wants to break the legacies of the ancient gods and ancient immortals is not Abode Lord Yi but me. The Yen Emperor revealed a stern look. However, Huoling Tian and Yi Qinqing did not find it inappropriate at all. Why did the Yen Emperor go to war in the past? Why did he have to lead all the flame people into battle, even though Yen Yu didn't help him? Those who offend Great Yen will die. I have never compromised, but I have learned to endure. The Yen Emperor said hoarsely. For Great Yen, we will die before we die. Yi Qinqing and Huoling Tian cupped their fists and said. In the chaos heavenly domain, a wretched young man hid on the belly of a heavenly beast and slowly approached the chaos heavenly domain. Although there were 3 barriers, they could not stop his determination. Young person, wait for my boss to stab you in the ass. Supreme Yi grinned and rubbed his hands, wanting to get closer to the barrier. Whoosh! At this moment, the land of chaos nirvana suddenly surged. Lightning struck and formed an old man. He had white hair and a wise gaze. However, his gaze was very similar to Supreme Yi's. There was a wretched and despicable feeling in his bones. Fuck, Dad, are you trying to scare me to death? Supreme Yi shuddered and almost wet himself. The old man glared and cursed, you little bastard, do you have a death wish? If the primordial Yin Yang and Yen Yu find out about this, all my years of hard work will be in vain. You old thing, you still have the cheek to say that? Hard work my ass. I'm the one who worked hard. You worked hard and got me out. Now, you dare to say that you worked hard in front of me? Do you think I won't ask my boss to come in and tear your thick face apart? Supreme Yi cursed with his hands on his hips. The old man was the divine bird's father. He was just an order. However, he was not emotionless. He developed from the beginning of the chaos and relied on his wretchedness to become the heavenly Tao's order. Back then, when he was suppressed, he used a spirit-devouring divine parrot to force a phoenix. After giving birth to the divine bird, he left the divine bird in the 100,000 mountains and faked his death to escape. At this moment, he was slapped in the face by the new order, but he did not care at all. Instead, he said earnestly, "Do you know how much effort I put in for the alien planet, for the tribulation taker, and to send you out? I used a little bird to force a low-level creature like the immortal phoenix. How much humiliation did I endure? It took me a whole 3 seconds. The older the ginger, the spicier it was." In terms of shamelessness, this old man was the most shameless. Hurry up and get lost. Don't say that you're the heavenly Tao's order in the future. Supreme Yi was powerless. In the chaos heavenly domain, he had encountered an unprecedented opponent. Chapter 29-39. Supreme Yi had finally met his match. He waved his hand and said, "Hurry up and get lost. You're so wretched. I'm ashamed to be associated with you. Father, I'm going to do something serious. Don't disturb me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. You'll implicate me," the old man said with a glare. Crack, 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 Supreme Yi clenched his fists and glared at his father. He pretended to be powerful and had 70% of Yi Qinghan's aura. The Yen Emperor wants to kill his own father. Do you want me to kill you first with a shake of my tiger body? Whoosh, the old man shrank his head and left. Supreme Yi curled his lips and turned to look at the Qiu Tian domain. The two domains had already been separated and were protected by a barrier. This was not a simple barrier, but a barrier set up by two ancestors and an existence that was not part of the 5 elements. Supreme Yi did not know if he could enter the Qiu Tian domain. Whoosh, Supreme Yi jumped outside the barrier. His body suddenly distorted and evolved into a new order. This new order came from the Qiu Tian domain. This was the foundation for him to enter the Qiu Tian domain. Otherwise, he would not have a chance. Boss, bless me to enter the Qiu Tian domain smoothly and bring back the origin energy of the ancestor realm and above. The new order turned into pure new energy and scattered near the barrier. The barrier did not react much. It was common for energy to collide with the barrier. It was impossible for the immemorial yin-yang to come over and take a look. Moreover, the new order had scattered the energy. Whoosh, the first layer of the barrier was the human path barrier set up by Yen Yu. The second layer was the reverse 5 elements barrier set up by Yi Qinghan. Far away in the Crazy Manners camp, Yi Qinghan's eyes suddenly flashed as he looked in the direction of the chaotic heavenly domain. Have you taken action? Yi Qinghan muttered to himself. He and Supreme Yi knew about this matter, but the Crazy Manner did not. They all thought that he was really angry and had completely chased Supreme Yi away. The moment the reverse 5 elements barrier was activated, Yi Qinghan sensed Supreme Yi. They had been together for countless years and endured many great calamities. They were too familiar with each other. Soon enough, the energy formed by the new order passed through the depths of the reverse elemental barrier and prepared to enter the yin-yang barrier laid down by the immemorial yin-yang. This time, Supreme Yi carefully entered the yin-yang barrier bit by bit. A small energy wave could alert ancient yin-yang, but it was just a small energy cluster. No matter how careful ancient yin-yang was, it wouldn't be able to defend against a fingertip-sized energy order. Plus, that energy order was the energy order of Qiu Tian realm. On each day, Supreme Yi would mobilize a portion of the new order to sneak into the Qiu Tian domain. This lasted for several months before the new order stepped into the seeking heaven domain. What did it mean to seek the heavens? Praying to the heavens was the same as praying to the heavens. Praying to the celestial region was the same as praying to the heavens. Everything was in a primordial state, and it was even more ancient than the chaos heavenly domain. In the chaos heavenly domain, there were at least various laws and logos of order, lightning, heavenly beasts, and meteorites. However, in this place, there were only masses of energy. There was no law or order to speak of, and everything was chaotic. Wanting to comprehend and transcend the ancestor realm in this place was not something that a human could do. No wonder the Yin-Yang people gave up on transcending the ancestor realm. Supreme Yi looked at the simple and ancient Qiu Tian realm. If they fought here, they probably wouldn't even cause the slightest ripple, and it wouldn't affect too much. Supreme Yi transformed into a new order and shuttled through the Qiu Tian realm. It was endless, and he couldn't see the end or the beginning. The ancestor realm energy was too strong and violent. It could even directly destroy all matter that approached it. There were quite a lot of energy sources in the ancestor realm, but there was no energy that could transcend the ancestor realm. At least, Supreme Yi hadn't encountered any after wandering around for so long. It's a pity that boss isn't here. Otherwise, he would definitely be able to step into the ancestor realm very quickly. Supreme Yi sometimes transformed into a human, and sometimes he existed as a matter of the new order. He kept jumping and shuttling. I vaguely remember that this place doesn't seem to be so simple. There should be a star region, order, and life planets. Could it be that my memory is wrong? Supreme Yi transformed into a human and frowned as he pondered. Back then, the birth of the new order was also gathered from the endless depths. He more or less had some memories of the Qiu Tian realm. However, the Qiu Tian realm was too big, so big that it was boundless. Moreover, it was easy to get lost because there were no directional signs or light within a radius of countless miles. Once the energy storm erupted, one would immediately get lost here. Fuck, where the hell am I going to find the source energy above the ancestor realm? Supreme Yi stomped his feet and looked around. Everything was the same. He might not even be able to find his way back. If it was so easy to find the source energy above the ancestor realm, Supreme Yi wouldn't have to take it. The primordial yin-yang and yen you would have found it long ago. I'll take some ancestor realm source energy back as an apology. Boss isn't that stingy. Supreme Yi struggled to sit up helplessly. He used the new order to refine countless ancestor realm sources. The ancestor realm sources attached to the new order, causing the new order to grow infinitely stronger. Whoosh, whoosh. Supreme Yi brought a large amount of ancestor realm energy source and shuttled through the Qiu Tian realm. It took him several months to return to the third layer of the barrier. He broke down the new order again and wanted to return to the chaotic heavenly realm. However, the energy this time had changed a lot. Even if it was divided into many parts, it would easily alarm the primordial yin-yang. Whoosh! The barrier was activated, and light shone brightly. Supreme Yi was so scared that he hurriedly fled back to the Qiu Tian realm. In the ancient immortal world, the primordial yin-yang divine light flashed. He held the primordial yin-yang emperor sword and stepped toward the Qiu Tian realm. Whoosh! Boom! Yi Qinghan soared into the air. He seemed to have been waiting for this for a long time. With a wave of his hand, he gathered the power of heaven and earth and turned it into a 7-foot heavy berserk. He shattered the order and rushed toward the chaotic heavenly realm, blocking the primordial yin-yang outside the chaotic heavenly realm. Yin-yang, what's wrong? Is peace enough? Yi Qinghan's cold light pierced through the void. He stared at the primordial yin-yang and asked coldly. The primordial yin-yang frowned and replied in a deep voice, someone might have barged into the Qiu Tian realm. Oh. Then shall we go in and take a look? Yi Qinghan asked calmly. How could the primordial yin-yang allow Yi Qinghan to enter the Qiu Tian realm? He snorted coldly and replied silently, "There's no need. I'll know once I go in." Whoosh! Boom! Yi Qinghan's aura soared into the sky. He looked down at the primordial yin-yang and replied domineeringly, "Since the agreement has been made, I can't go in, and you can't go in either. Why don't we go in together?" The aura of the two of them crushed the sky. The situation that had been peaceful for so many years was very likely to collapse again. The human sovereign's sword and human sovereign's pagoda soared into the sky. Their figures turned and appeared outside the chaotic heavenly realm. "Go in together or don't go in. The choice is yours," Yi Qinghan said coldly. The primordial yin-yang frowned. Yi Qinghan and Yen Sovereign were both here. The people of the Crazy Manor couldn't have entered the Qiu Tian realm quietly. Is it an illusion? Is it just an ordinary energy collision? Whoosh! At this moment, the energy in the Qiu Tian realm became restless. Chaotic and disorderly energy constantly approached the barrier. This was the most basic energy of the Qiu Tian realm. It definitely didn't belong to an expert. Moreover, if an expert was really in the Qiu Tian realm, he shouldn't be attacking the barrier now. Wouldn't that be telling the three experts that someone was in the Qiu Tian realm? No need. It's just an illusion. The surroundings are peaceful and stable now. I hope that no one will deliberately break this peace, the primordial yin-yang reminded in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a cold smile. Chapter 2940. At this moment, the Flame Emperor was enduring. He had righteousness, but if he was ruthless, he would break the inheritance of the ancient gods and ancient immortals and the method of the primal chaos heavenly domain. Cold light surged, and the four supreme beings retreated 1,000 miles each and slowly left. In the seeking heavenly domain, Supreme Yi used the chaotic energy to supply the barrier and continuously scattered into the five elements reverse barrier. With the help of Yi Qinghan's five elements reverse barrier, he successfully left the human Tao barrier and entered the primal chaos heavenly domain. Plop! Supreme Yi was so scared that his legs went weak. It was not easy for him to sneak into the seeking heavenly domain, but he did not obtain the origin of the ancestor realm. He was indeed unwilling. "Old man, get out here. Where can I find the origin of the ancestor realm? Why is the seeking heavenly domain different from what I remember?" Supreme Yi glared at the sky and questioned angrily. Whoosh! His father appeared again and replied with a speechless expression, "How would I know if you ask me? If I had the ability, I would have already transcended the ancestor realm. Who would bring these unfilial sons to play? What a good-for-nothing. Why don't you pass the position to me? I'll bring you to play, pass through the ancestor realm, and bring you to defy the heavens." Supreme Yi rubbed his hands and gestured. Slap! "I am the heavens, you are the son of the heavens. Damn it, there are people shouting to defy the heavens every day. Even a little bastard like you has to shout." His father slapped the back of Supreme Yi's head in exasperation and said angrily. Supreme Yi curled his lips and looked at his father, who had a wretched look in his eyes. He had a feeling that he knew where the energy of the ancestor realm's origin was, but he refused to say. "You are the same as me. There is no truth in your mouth. When my boss steps into the ancestor realm, I will settle the score with you." Supreme Yi got up unwillingly and threatened angrily. "I'm your father." Father Heavenly Tao said with a flattering smile, "I really don't know about the energy source of the ancestor realm. You saw the seeking heavenly domain. It was not easy for me to give birth to a new order. Do you think order is so fun?" Supreme Yi stepped out of the primal chaos heavenly domain and turned around to look at his father's wretched face. He was sure that his father definitely knew where the source energy of the transcendent ancestor realm was, but he didn't seem to want anyone to transcend the ancestor realm, so it was better to be peaceful like this. "Don't be reckless. Primordial yin-yang, Yen Yu, I'm definitely going to beat these two old things up." Sovereign Ye's figure flashed as he rushed towards Quang Manor. Whoosh! Whoosh! Paragon Ye's silhouette flashed across the sky, morphing into the Order Dharma logos. He moved as fast as lightning and appeared in the heaven-suppressing palaces district in just a blink of an eye. On sky-gazing peak, Yi Qinghan stood at the highest point and looked down at the world. When he saw Supreme Venerable Yi appear, a smile finally appeared on his face. As expected, he didn't disappoint me, Yi Qinghan muttered to himself. Whoosh, whoosh. Supreme Yi appeared at the top of sky-gazing peak and said with a fawning smile, "Boss, I'll get you some Ancestor Realm source energy. If you can comprehend it and reach the Ancestor Realm, wouldn't it be very easy for you to fight the primordial yin-yang?" Yi Qinghan waved his hand and received a ball of Ancestor Realm energy source energy. It was difficult to understand and had boundless power. It could explode at any time. If this ball of energy exploded, half of the ancient immortal world would be destroyed. At this moment, the Ancestor Realm source energy was very stable. As long as Yi Qinghan did not stimulate it, it might continue to be stable. Yi Qinghan looked at the ball of energy source and a light flashed across his eyes. "Divine Bird, what's your father's attitude?" Yi Qinghan asked in a deep voice. Supreme Yi rolled his eyes and shrugged. "This old fellow is too cheap and wretched. He doesn't speak the truth. I don't know what his attitude is either." Yi Qinghan looked at Supreme Yi and said disdainfully, "In terms of being cheap and wretched, who can surpass you? I'm ashamed of my inferiority, I'm ashamed of my inferiority." Supreme Yi sighed helplessly. Yi Qinghan shook his head and sighed. They were all from the same family. Little Money Grubber, Little Divine Bird, Supreme Yi, and this father. As expected, no one in this family was easy to provoke. Go and communicate with your wife and child. They are all in Wuxian's hands. Yi Qinghan said calmly. Supreme Yi immediately heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that Yi Qinghan still did not blame him. "Thank you, boss. I am loyal and devoted. I will not hesitate to go through a mountain of blades or a sea of fire for you. If you need anything, call me again. It might be easier to enter the heaven domain again." Supreme Yi said with a flattering smile. Yi Qinghan smiled slightly and waved his hand. I understand. I won't appear again in the near future. As for Chen Shui, you will be in charge. You understand. Supreme Ye's eyes flashed. He exchanged a look with Yi Qinghan and knew what was going on. Their feelings had already been integrated into their souls, so there was no need to talk nonsense. "No problem. Leave it to me." Supreme Yi replied affirmatively. After Supreme Yi left, Yi Qinghan waved his hand to conceal the secrets of heaven. A barrier enveloped Sky-Gazing Peak, and no one could enter Sky-Gazing Peak without permission. Yi Qinghan sat cross-legged in the courtyard and looked at the Progenitor Realm's origin energy in his hand. If he wanted to step into the Progenitor Realm, he had to fully comprehend this Progenitor Realm's origin energy. It did not have any rules or order, but in essence, it had order. Therefore, it was very difficult to step into the Progenitor Realm. At this time, Supreme Yi did not look for his wife and son. Instead, he looked for Jian Qinxue. At this moment, she was dealing with political affairs. She was snow-white and holy, like a mother of the world. So far, she was the only woman who had made Yi Qinghan kneel. Her status had risen, and Emperor Yi, Green Lotus Sword Immortal, and the others were all inferior to her. Emperor Yi had always been very unhappy. She had always been Yi Qinghan's treasure, but ever since Jian Qinxue walked out from the back and began to deal with political affairs, she began to be on equal footing with Jian Qinxue. However, after the last drinking session, she was defeated. She did not understand why Yi Qinghan had to kneel that day. Perhaps no one knew why Yi Qinghan had to kneel. Even if it was to thank him, there was no need to kneel. However, Supreme Yi knew. "Hi, little master, long time no see. Supreme Yi proudly walked towards the main imperial hall where Jian Qinshue was. At this moment, Emperor Yi was outside the hall, sulking. Emperor Yi looked at Supreme Yi unhappily and snorted, "Your little master has fallen out of favor, and you're still smiling proudly. What do you know?" Supreme Yi smirked, patted his chest, and said, "Let's go, I'll help you vent your anger." Emperor Yi's eyebrows twitched, and he asked, "What do you want to do?" "Although I'm angry, I'm not angry at Sister Qinshue. I'm angry at your boss. If you want to help me vent my anger, help me beat him up. You can also scold him. Scold him until he can't raise his head." "No need." Supreme Yi smirked, pushed the door open, and entered the door. Jian Qinshue raised her head slightly and looked at Supreme Yi. She smiled and said, "Divine bird, it's good that you're back. I was really worried that you two would fall out." Supreme Yi lay on the chair and said with a despicable expression, "It's all that damn yin and yang person's fault. He's neither male nor female. Let me tell you, what's wrong with this yin and yang person? This yin and yang person is so despicable. He sleeps with himself." Suddenly, there were some emotional fluctuations in the depths of Jian Qinshue's sea of consciousness. Supreme Yi immediately sat up straight. He felt another pair of eyes staring at him. A light flashed in his heart, and he continued, "As for the fallout between boss and me, it's because of this bitch, especially the primordial yin. She's shameless all day long and killed tens of thousands of people. I don't know how many men she's slept with. I heard that she slept with the heavenly Tao order, the Taigu emperor, and even the beggar. The last time she wanted to sleep with me, I rejected her." Chapter 29-41. In the heaven-suppressing palace's main imperial palace, Supreme Yi had been nagging in front of Jian Qinshue for an entire day and night, scolding the primordial yin-yang to the core. Jian Qinshue was yawning as she looked at Supreme Yi speechlessly, not knowing what he was trying to do. "Aya. There's one more thing, the primordial yin-yang is too shameless. No matter how much he is scolded, he won't have any reaction. Because he even sleeps with himself, what shame does he have?" Supreme Yi crossed his legs as he scolded happily while drinking wine. Emperor Yi was confused. He was worried that Sovereign Yi was here to scold Jian Qinshue. Who would have thought that he would scold Jian Qinshue for an entire day and night? He was scolding the yin-yang people. He even scolded the yin-yang people to their bones. Damn, I'm out of words. I'll scold again. Supreme Yi touched his mouth. He had been talking for an entire day and night, and his mouth was almost tied. Emperor Yi and Jian Qinshue were rolling their eyes. They wanted to leave, but Supreme Yi did not let them. "It wasn't easy for me to find someone to talk to. You have to listen to me and let me be happy. You can't leave," Supreme Yi said firmly. In the main palace, Emperor Yi and Jian Qinshue touched their foreheads helplessly. At this moment, a ghastly aura surged out from the depths of Jian Qinshue's psyche ocean. An ancestor realm cultivator appeared out of thin air in the main imperial palace and stared at Supreme Yi with murderous intent. "Are you done scolding?" Primordial Absolute Yin couldn't hold it in anymore. She had been scolded by Supreme Yi for an entire day and night. She had endured it for an entire day and night, but she couldn't hold it in anymore. Jian Qinshue and Emperor Yi were shocked. They retreated and looked at Primordial Absolute Yin vigilantly. Primordial Absolute Yin had been lurking in the depths of Jian Qinshue's sea of consciousness without any fluctuations. Jian Qinshue did not know that she could control Jian Qinshue to assassinate Yi Qinghan at any time, but she did not find the right opportunity. She wanted to erupt at the critical moment, but who knew that she would be scolded by Sovereign Yi before the critical moment arrived. Everything seemed to be clear now. Yi Qinghan had given Jian Qinshue poison wine. It couldn't kill an ancestor, but it could kill Jian Qinshue. However, it would only erupt and the primordial absolute Yin took control of Jian Qinxue. At that moment, Jian Qinxue would die, and the primordial absolute Yin would most likely not be able to escape. Yi Qinghan felt guilty for poisoning Jian Qinxue, so he knelt down. But at this moment, it seemed that there was no need to feel guilty, because the primordial extreme Yin had run out on its own. He had no choice, he couldn't help it. No one could endure being scolded for a day and a night, not to mention that Sovereign Ye's mouth was so venomous that even an ancestor would not be able to endure it. Sovereign Yi originally wanted to scold the primordial Yin Yang to vent his anger, but he did not expect to scold the primordial absolute Yin to come out. He immediately trembled and smiled obsequiously, "So you're here too? Ha! I was just joking. It's fine now. Everyone, continue with your work. I'm going to take the child." Whoosh, Sovereign Yi ran out of the Imperial Hall, but since the primordial absolute Yin had come out, how could she let him escape? Boom! Buzz! The void distorted, and Sovereign Yi, who had escaped, was captured by a will again. It was as if he had never moved, and he returned to the primordial absolute Yin. Plop, Sovereign Yi directly knelt in front of the primordial absolute Yin and said lowly, "You're a dignified ancestor. You won't argue with me, right?" Crack crack crack, the primordial absolute Yin stared at Sovereign Yi with killing intent in her eyes. She waved her hand and grabbed at Sovereign Yi. Boom! Bang! Suddenly, a sky-covering handprint appeared outside the Imperial Hall. It shattered the primordial absolute Yin's palm and directly blasted into her body. It directly blasted the primordial absolute Yin back and collapsed the Imperial Hall. A godlike existence protected Jian Qinxue, Emperor Yi, and the others behind him. Whoosh! Zhong Quan waved his hand and reassembled. Yi Qinghan stepped toward the primordial absolute Yin. Ah, the primordial absolute Yin fell to the ground fiercely. In the blink of an eye, she fled into the distance. What dogs hit ancestor realm? Bitch, you don't even dare to look at boss's face. Look at your cowardly face. Go home and hug yourself and cry, Yin Yang pervert, Sovereign Yi roared. The primordial absolute Yin almost fell from the sky. She was flustered and exasperated as she roared in the void, "Supreme Yi, I will definitely turn you into ashes." Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes and did not chase after her. Although the other party was not his match, her strength was not weak. If he took a detour back to Quang Manor, it would cause a large number of experts to die. Phew! Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. The primordial Yin Yang's backup was the primordial absolute Yin. Now that he had forced her out of Jian Qinxue's sea of consciousness, he was completely relieved that he did not have to abandon Jian Qinxue. "I really didn't expect you to be able to scold her out." Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched as he looked at Sovereign Yi and said. Sovereign Yi smiled proudly and said, "This is nothing. I'll scold her another day. I'll scold her until she commits suicide out of shame." Jian Qinxue's entire body trembled. She did not expect the primordial absolute Yin to be hiding in the depths of her sea of consciousness. Just thinking about what she was going to do made her hair stand on end. Yi Qinghan hugged Jian Qinxue and said happily, "The primordial Yin Yang only has the 9-linked gourd left. As long as we save the mother vine's 18 sons," at this point, the corners of Yi Qinghan's mouth curled up with killing intent. The primordial Yin Yang, Yen Yu, and the ancient celestial emperor had to die. Damn it, they could not escape. Those who deserved to live would not die. "So, you guys knew everything and hid it from me." Emperor Yi scratched his head and glared at Yi Qinghan. He was very dissatisfied. "Ha ha ha," Yi Qinghan laughed loudly and waved his hand to pull Emperor Yi over. He said gently, "I understand your temper. If the primordial absolute Yin did not make a move, I did not dare to force her. Therefore, I wanted Sovereign Yi to restrain Qinxue. I did not expect him to directly scold the primordial absolute Yin out. Emperor Yi came to a realization. It turned out that Yi Qinghan was in control of everything. Yi Qinghan was wild with joy. He waved his hand and pressed it on Jian Qinshue's back. He directly took out the mother-child worms from the bowl of wine Jian Qinshue drank, as well as some other poisons, including the corpse worms. In order to kill the primordial absolute Yin that controlled Jian Qinshue, he had painstakingly borrowed the corpse worms controlled by Chu Shijun Xian. It was no wonder that she had knelt down. It was no wonder that Yi Qinghan had brought Jian Qinshue back to the ancestral land alone. He only wanted her to take another look at the ancestral land. Qinshue, I had no choice. Yi Qinghan explained hoarsely. Jian Qinshue's tears fell like rain. She hugged Yi Qinghan tightly and said gently, I know, I understand. That meal was for me. That bowl of wine was for the primordial absolute Yin. How could I blame you? Emperor Yi understood that she had misunderstood Yi Qinghan. She had not fallen out of favor. If he had been controlled by the primordial absolute Yin, Yi Qinghan would have done the same. Supreme Yi grinned and said, Boss, I won't delay you any longer. I'm going to accompany my wife and child. Don't thank me. Yi Qinghan laughed crazily. Supreme Yi was always so cheap and cute, making him unable to completely give up. Hurry up and get lost. Emperor Yi smiled through his tears. After he understood, he realized how childish he was. He was not even as good as Supreme Yi. At this moment, the primordial yin-yang had almost gone crazy from anger. That's Supreme Yi. I definitely won't let him off. The primordial yin-yang's voice was hoarse, and his face was ferocious. He wished he could turn Supreme Yi into ashes right now. Chapter 2942. The immemorial yin-yang was so angry that his head hurt. His last trump card was not forced out by Yi Qinghan, but it was scolded out by Sovereign Yi. Boom, the immemorial yin-yang smashed a mountain with a palm strike. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Unforgivable. It wasn't that the immemorial yin-yang, who ruled over the ancient times, couldn't endure being scolded by a bird for an entire day and night. No one could take it, let alone someone like him who ruled over the ancient times. His deep voice was filled with yang energy. I want to kill Yi Qinghan now and capture Sovereign Yi. The ancient heavenly emperor and Yen you only need to hold the flame emperor back for half a year. The voice suddenly changed, becoming sharp and eerie. The immemorial yin-yang was so angry that he couldn't bear it anymore. His trump card was destroyed by Sovereign Yi. What was he waiting for? Waiting for Yi Qinghan to proclaim himself as ancestor. The immemorial yin-yang's eyes were filled with yin and yang energy. They were filled with killing intent. It seemed like he couldn't bear it anymore. Hua, the immemorial yin-yang seemed to have made up his mind. He crossed the border and arrived at Yen Yu's base. The two ancestors looked at each other. Take action now. We can't give Yi Qinghan and the Flame Emperor any more time. The immemorial yin-yang said. Yen Yu looked at the ancestral land of the Flame Clan and said, the Flame Emperor is already crippled. Yi Qinghan can't handle it alone. Why are you so nervous? Crippled. The immemorial yin-yang's eyes pierced through the void and looked at the ancestral land of the Flame Clan. Human Emperor Peak. It seemed like the Flame Emperor didn't want to reach the peak other than drinking. He was really crippled without motivation. The corners of primordial yin-yang's lips curled up as she spoke in a sinister female voice, I only want to kill Yi Qinghan and grind Sovereign Ye's bones to dust. Haste makes waste. The ancient heavenly emperor is going to proclaim himself as ancestor. When the time comes, it will be 4 against 2. What's there to be afraid of? Yen Yu smiled. Yen Yu also had a backup plan. He wanted to nurture the ancient heavenly emperor to become an ancestor. Therefore, when he came out from the Seeking Heaven region, he brought along a lump of progenitor realm energy. As long as there was enough time, it would be enough for him to become an ancestor. The immemorial Yin-Yang Emperor's eyebrows flashed with a strange light. Another person claiming the title of ancestor meant more danger. He didn't like people claiming the title of ancestor, whether it was Yi Qinghan, the Yen Emperor, or their own people. However, in order to kill Yi Qinghan, the Flame Emperor, Sovereign Yi, and Lu Feng, who had betrayed him, he had to endure it. How much longer? Primordial Yin-Yang asked. Yen Yu said calmly, soon. In another 30 years, they will live for another 30 years. Primordial Yin-Yang still did not seem to believe the ancient heavenly emperor. After all, he was the Yen Emperor's nephew. The Yen Emperor had seen him before, and the ancient heavenly emperor had also cultivated the Yen Emperor's great Tao. The primordial Yin-Yang pondered for a moment before asking, he can be trusted? Yen Yu smiled confidently and asked, he has killed so many people from Quang Fu and slaughtered all the flame people. Does he have a choice? Was there any other choice? The ancient heavenly emperor had asked himself this before. It seemed like he had no other choice. At this moment, the ancient heavenly emperor was attacking the ancestor realm. In addition to the ancestor realm experience that Yen Yu gave him, he had a high chance of claiming the title of ancestor. He was different from Yen Yu and the immemorial Yin-Yang. Without any ancestor realm experience, it was very difficult to claim the title of ancestor. They could only rely on Yi Qinghan and the alien star to claim the title. The ancestor realm aura was blocked by Yen Yu. The heavenly Tao order was unable to sense the birth of a new ancestor realm expert. In 30 years, the ancient heavenly emperor would definitely claim the title of ancestor. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was madly attacking the ancestor realm. He wanted to refine this ancestor realm source. Even if it did not have any laws, he could still comprehend it. However, he needed time. Moreover, this energy source was similar to the alien star. As long as he could turn it into the alien star root's basic source, he would be able to make up for the missing half of the alien star root's basic source. Yi Qinghan found a way to refine the ancestor realm's energy source into the alien star root's basic source. Hua, Wang, the reverse 5 elements enchantment covered space and time. No one could sense that the existence on sky-gazing peak was attacking the ancestor realm. Human Emperor Peak. Yen Emperor seemed to have given up. His eyes were cloudy. However, no one was more determined than him. Not only did he want to claim the title of ancestor, he also wanted to transcend the ancestor realm. He wanted to revive the Yen clan and revive the 9-colored Brahma heart. Otherwise, what was the point of claiming the title of ancestor? Was it just for revenge? Wang, Yen Emperor gripped the human emperor sword and looked at the sky. His face was covered in stubble and his eyes were filled with sorrow. Hiss, Qi Yen hissed and refused to leave. Hua, Yen Emperor's body began to emit a different aura. It was the aura of an ancestor realm expert. However, it was very thin. He was relying on himself. He was not like Yi Qinghan who relied on the alien star's foundation. He was not like the ancient heavenly emperor who relied on the ancestor realm's experience and source. He was also not like immemorial Yin-Yang and Yen Yu who relied on countless years of scheming. He was using Yi Qinghan and the alien star root's basic source. He was relying on himself. Yen Emperor was an existence that attacked the Tao heart of others. He could claim the title of ancestor by himself. However, it would take a longer time. At this moment, who wasn't making the final arrangements? In the primal chaos heavenly domain, the old Father Divine Bird was mobilizing all the order in the heavenly domain. He was using the ancestor realm's experience of the primal chaos heavenly domain to prepare for the birth of a new ancestor realm expert. When immemorial Yin-Yang suppressed the primal chaos heavenly domain's laws and logos, this old Father Divine Bird had not been idle. He had peeped into the secrets of the ancestor realm. Hua. Hua. Hua, boom, dense lightning tempered the meteorites. One by one, the Taigu Emperor was refined and condensed. The wretched old father divine bird had obtained some ancestor realm source through a special method and reconstructed a new ancestor realm expert. Heavenly beasts were condensed into the flesh of this special ancestor realm expert. However, this ancestor realm expert did not seem to have a soul and did not seem to have much vitality. Let them kill each other first. When both sides are injured, I'll use this ancestor realm to refine the transcendent ancestor realm source and kill all of you. The ancestor realm shouldn't exist, and the transcendent ancestor realm shouldn't exist either. The wretched old father divine bird was very despicable. His goal was clear. It was not purely to kill, but to protect the laws and logos of order. The lifespan of this ancestor realm expert was very short. The laws and logos of order inside could support him for a long time, just 100 years. Sigh, if it wasn't for Yin Yang, this unfilial son, I don't even know how to give birth to ancestor realm and transcendent ancestor realm experts. As expected, I will not cut off my own path of retreat. I am too damn smart. The divine bird old father divine bird said despicably. This old father divine bird really knew where the transcendent ancestor realm's source of order was. This old man was comparable to Yen Yu. At this moment, in the heaven-suppressing palace, Supreme Ye's body trembled. He looked up at the sky and felt like he was being schemed against. Damn, old father is scheming against me. Supreme Yi looked at the sky speechlessly. He rubbed his nose and his eyes flashed fiercely. He silently scolded, "One day, I will beat you up until you beg for mercy. You will stop growing wretchedly." The little divine bird, the little money grubber, was very proud of himself. The heavenly Tao was the grandfather, the heavenly Tao was the father. This was a strong backing. However, they did not know how wretched and despicable this heavenly Tao's law and logos were. Chapter 2943. Everyone was preparing for battle, including Yi Qinghan. He was preparing for the final attack. Supreme Yi could feel that his father was plotting against him. He rubbed his nose and said to Lin Wuqian, "Kid, go and inform Yen Emperor that I've already gotten the immemorial Yin Yang out. The immemorial Yin Yang has no backup and should be ready for battle. Also, don't trust my father. That old man is not capable. We just need to be careful." Lin Wuqian nodded. If he wanted to make a move, he would need Yen Emperor's approval. After all, Yi Qinghan couldn't hold up the sky alone. Hua. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Lin Wuqian left and went straight to Yen clan's ancestral land. After crossing several large regions, Lin Wuqian appeared in Yen clan's ancestral land, Human Emperor's Peak. Flame Emperor was still drinking heartily while Crimson Flame was quietly guarding him. Lin Wuqian held his sword and walked to the dojo halfway up Human Emperor's Peak. He bowed and said, "Senior, the immemorial Yin Yang's backup has been cleared out. Master is trying to break through to the ancestor realm. Supreme Yi asks you to be ready for battle." Yen Emperor dropped the wine jar in his hand. His eyes flashed with a strange light. This wasn't his real body, but it had the ability to see through illusions. Yen Emperor looked at Lin Wuqian and said in a hoarse voice, "Show me your sword." These years, Lin Wuqian had been left behind by Mu Zhuang and Gu Qinyu, but his talent was still there. His Tao heart was even stronger. He just lacked a good teacher. The Bailing King could no longer teach him, but the Flame Emperor was more than enough. Lin Wuqian didn't ask any questions. He immediately pulled out his sword and stabbed out. The sword was sharp and earth-shattering. The sword chi hit the sky. "Keep your sword and attack again," Yen Emperor said coldly. Hum. Whoosh. Hua. Lin Wuqian kept his sword and pulled it out. The power of this sword wasn't as strong as the previous one. Yen Emperor frowned and his aura became stronger. He said, keep your sword and attack again. Be careful. Hiss hiss hiss. Lin Wuqian took a deep breath and became one with his sword. His sword moved according to his heart. He kept his sword and stood on human emperor's peak like a sharp sword. Hum. The sword was amazing. The sword aura shattered the heavens. It went straight to the origin of Sword Dao and resonated with the Sword Dao. Boom boom boom, in a split second, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Lightning filled the sky. This sword strike contained Lin Wuqian's half-ancestor realm cultivation base. It also contained Lin Wuqian's peak momentum. Flame Emperor's eyes flickered. He could even see Lin Wuqian's energy circulation in every detail of his attack. Lin Wuqian's heart of the sword was too strong. He seemed to have begun to attack the depths of the great path of the sword, wanting to completely control the great path of the sword. Use your heart to feel the great Tao of sword. The moment you attack, merge yourself into the great Tao of sword. Use your divine sense to check if there are any problems with the circulation of energy in your body when you attack, the Yan Emperor's clone said in a deep voice. In terms of Sword Dao, Yan Emperor had instantly defeated everyone. He had even killed primordial Yin Yang. This was also the reason why it was so difficult for him to claim the title of Ancestor. If he wanted to claim the title of Ancestor, he would have to break through the great circle of Sword Dao and enter a new level of Sword Dao, also known as Sword Ancestor. Lin Wuqian took a deep breath and focused on comprehending the origin of the great path of sword. His divine sense soared into the sky along with his sword intent. His momentum was earth-shattering, and he was about to break through to the half-martial ancestor realm. When he struck out again, the sword momentum turned into a long rainbow that pierced through the past and present. Time and space were pierced through, and it was as if time and space were flowing in reverse. Boom! Lin Wuqian's sword broke through the shackles and stepped into the half-martial ancestor realm. The moment he stepped into the half-martial ancestor realm, he began to break through to the ancestor realm. His entire aura changed, and his aura soared into the galaxy. Yan Yu and primordial Yin Yang watched from afar. It was just the half-martial ancestor realm. As long as the ancient heavenly emperor stepped into the ancestor realm, no matter how many half-martial ancestors came, they would be nothing but ants. Time flew by, and 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. Everyone thought that they would be the next ancestor realm expert. Yan Emperor's clone left, leaving Lin Wuqian alone on the human emperor peak to comprehend the origin of the great path of sword. In an independent space, this was the new area that Yan Emperor had set up, the Yan Emperor domain. Hualing Tian and Yi Qinxing were comprehending the chaotic emotions and blazing sun inside, while Yan Emperor was evolving his domain into a true universe. At this moment, it had already expanded to an endless depth. Yan Emperor's great path supported the framework of the entire universe. As long as the universe was formed, the laws of order would accompany the great path, and the ancestor realm would be at his fingertips. Yan Emperor's ancestral might grew stronger and stronger. At this moment, he was no longer afraid of the interference of the two ancestor realm experts because the laws of Yan Emperor's universe were operating on their own, and life planets were beginning to be born. Heaven-suppressing palace, sky-gazing summit. Yi Qinghan's wild martial great world was expanding infinitely. The laws and principles of this world were all against the 5 elements, and the heaven-defying Daos were slowly reaching perfection. The ancestor realm energy had been refined by Yi Qinghan, and was now replacing the abnormal star's foundation. Once Yi Qinghan entered the ancestor realm, his strength would increase by 1,000 times. Back then, he could only stall for time with the immemorial Yin Yang and was suppressed. But once he entered the ancestor realm, even the immemorial Yin Yang fusion would be defeated. This was the reversal. A slight difference could lead to a huge difference. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly, and the great world in his body was almost on par with the Yan Emperor universe. The laws were stabilized, and life planets were growing like bamboo shoots after a rain. Yi Qinghan's aura was about to reach its limit, and the reverse elemental barrier could no longer hold him back. The ancestor realm was within his reach. Boom boom boom, Yi Qinghan's blood boiled, and his body turned ethereal. He had completely left the five elements, and unless someone who surpassed the ancestor realm was born, no one could kill him. Roar, the multicolored snake, God-devourer eagle, and little golden crow benefited from Yi Qinghan's breakthrough to the ancestor realm, and they all rushed into the Taigu Emperor realm. In an instant, dragon roars and eagle cries resounded, and the world changed color. Roar. Roar. A terrifying aura rushed to the foot of sky-gazing peak, spreading in all directions. Whoosh, countless stars shrouded the area, bathing the area within 1,000,000 miles. At the same time, the ancient heavenly emperor rushed into the sky, and his ancestral aura fell on the heavenly river, causing countless mountains and rivers to kneel. Ha 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 ha, the ancient heavenly emperor roared, and his killing intent soared. He had reached the ancestor realm. Just a moment ago, the Yen emperor stepped out of his domain with sword in hand, riding the scarlet flames as he slowly walked toward the Yen clan's ancestral land. Whoosh, a jar of strong wine splashed into the sky. Yen clan's heroes, watch me today. I will kill yin and yang, destroy evil, and end all eternity on behalf of the heavens. The Yen emperor's expression was normal, as if he was doing something trivial. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, boom boom boom, in an instant, heaven and earth roared, and myriad laws surged. Ancestor realm experts could not create lightning tribulations at all. The primal chaos heavenly domain could not control the ancestor realm, so how could it send down lightning tribulations? At the same time, the five elements in heaven and earth distorted, and the mountains and rivers became restless. Everyone's vision turned illusory, and they could not see the myriad laws and order. Order was in chaos, and the five elements were in chaos. Yi Qinghan had completely stepped out of the five elements, and the attacks of ancestor realm experts could not do much to him. Ah, a war god stood on the mountain peak and roared, as if an ancient killing god was shouting, venting the anger and killing intent in his heart. Chapter 2944. Yen Emperor reached the peak and Yi Qinghan stepped out of the five elements. The ancient heavenly monarch's dual godhead stepped into the progenitor realm, his strength was overwhelming and he instantly broke free from the control of the ancient yin-yang. The ancient yin-yang, the founder of the Yen clan, Yen Yu and the ancient heavenly monarch. All of a sudden, the old man in the chaos heavenly domain was dumbfounded. He never thought that Yi Qinghan, Yen Emperor and the ancient heavenly monarch would all step into the progenitor realm at the same time. The old man thought that Yen Emperor, Yi Qinghan, Yen Yu and the ancient yin-yang would all be injured. Whether or not the progenitor he gave birth to could step into the transcendent progenitor realm, he would still be able to defeat the four of them. But now, things were different. If the progenitor couldn't step into the transcendent progenitor realm, which was the ruler realm, no matter how much he begged, no one would spare him. Damn, I shouldn't have let the new order out. I'm done for. I'm going to dig a hole and bury myself in it. The old man was embarrassed as he looked at the five progenitors' aura surging to the sky. It was as if none of them thought that they would lose and he couldn't help but shiver. I have to trick the new order back, or it will be completely out of control. The old man lowered his head and poked his head out of the heaven-seeking domain, using the order to get closer to the heaven-suppressing prefecture to bring Sovereign Yi back. Hua! Yi Qinghan's aura surged and his eyes pierced through the sky as he stared at the old man. What are you trying to do? Yi Qinghan stood on against heaven path as he looked down at the old man and asked coldly. Ha ha ha. The father of the divine bird transformed into an old man, clapped his hands and said wretchedly, Hey, tribulation taker, we're old acquaintances. I was the one who sent the alien star out, and I was also the one who helped you restrain the primordial yin-yang, ka. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists and asked calmly, should I thank you? Should I worship you as my heavenly father? No, I wouldn't dare. Abode Lord Yi, please don't misunderstand and don't be angry. We are not enemies. The old man said flatteringly. Abode Yi, can you return my son to me? He's a part of the new order, he shouldn't have come into being. Yi Qinghan frowned as he looked at the divine bird's father. Why did this idiot want the divine bird back now? Yi Qinghan replied coldly, he's one of my people, the new order. You can be reborn, but not the new order. Leave. For the sake of the divine bird, I'll spare you. Don't. The divine bird's father was instantly enraged. No one knew better than him what the new order was. It was the source of the ancestor realm. Only by controlling the new order in his hands could he, the heavenly Tao order, rest easy. The reason why he released the new order, Sovereign Yi, and let him bring the ancestor realm source out was because he wanted to end this war as soon as possible. However, even the heavens would miscalculate. He did not take the Flame Emperor and the ancient Heavenly Emperor into account. Whoosh! With a wave of his hand, Yi Qinghan retrieved Supreme Being Yi back into his body, completely cutting off any thoughts of the divine bird's father. Boom! Yi Qinghan held the reverse 5-element saber and stepped out of the 5 elements, heading towards the center of the ancient immortal world. The figures of the 5 experts flashed, facing each other with murderous intent. 5 great Taoists collided with the dome, standing above the heavenly Tao. The laws and logos of order could not withstand such a blow. With the 5 experts attacking, the entire ancient immortal world would collapse and turn into dust. No one would survive, including Kuang Fu. Whoosh! Buzz, the heavenly Tao was enraged. The divine bird's father could not hold it in and scolded, you unfilial sons. I gave birth to you after all. You want to destroy this place? Don't bully me because I'm old and weak. If you want to fight, go to the heaven region. Do you believe that you will all die there? The 5 ancestor realm experts looked at the divine bird's father in disdain. No one in the world could surpass the ancestor realm. The only ones who could kill them were the 5 of them. Infuriating. Infuriating. You 5 bastards. You 5 ingrates. You destroyed the ancient immortal world for the sake of your so-called hatred. Didn't you get nothing in the end? What did you get in the end? The divine bird's father transformed into a human and appeared in the center of the ancient immortal world, glaring at the 5. The 5 of them were silent for a long time. What was the point of destroying the ancient immortal world? Yi Qinghan could not bear to part with Kuang Fu. Yan Emperor hoped to revive the Yan clan, and the ancient heavenly emperor could not let go of Gu Jiutian. Yan Yu and the primeval Yin Yang Emperor only wanted to end time, not destroy the universe. Listen to my advice, 5 bosses. Let's disperse. At this level, what's there to be unhappy about? The divine bird's father pleaded. Hiss, Yan Emperor took a deep breath and pressed his hand on the human emperor sword. He said calmly, this battle must start. Otherwise, my Tao heart will be damaged, and the countless Yan clan people will die in vain. Yan Emperor's killing intent had been revealed, but his nature had not changed. Those who offended great Yan must be killed, no matter how strong they were. It was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Yi Qinghan looked at the 20 million soldiers behind him, ready to fight. He could not suppress his temper at all. The people of Kuang Fu will not die in vain. Ancient Heavenly Emperor, Yan Yu, and the primeval Yin Yang Emperor, you will die without a doubt, Yi Qinghan said firmly as he raised his saber. The ancient Heavenly Emperor had 2 godheads. Why would he care about Yi Qinghan? No matter how strong Yi Qinghan was, he was only slightly stronger than him. If the ancient Heavenly Emperor and Yan Yu joined forces, killing Yi Qinghan would be a piece of cake. They only needed the primeval Yin Yang Emperor to hold Yan Emperor back for 3 to 5 days. In my heart, you are one of the people I must kill, the ancient Heavenly Emperor said coldly. Clearly, the ancient heavenly emperor did not only want to kill Yi Qinghan. There was another person who should not be Yan Emperor, but the primeval Yin Yang Emperor. You guys are really foolish. Of course, I can't persuade you. Yi Qinghan, leave the new order behind. You guys go to Qiu Tian domain to fight. Fighting there will not harm the ancient immortal world and the order of the universe. How about it? The divine bird father still wanted Yi Qinghan to stay. Yi Qinghan's brows furrowed as he stared at the divine bird's father. This fellow had left Sovereign Yi in the small plane after giving birth to him, not caring about him at all. Why was he now staring at him and asking for a new order? There must be something wrong here. The divine bird father saw that Yi Qinghan was suspicious and immediately explained seriously, the new order is the foundation of the universe. You can't bring it into Qiu Tian domain and risk it. If it disappears, the universe might become unstable. Everyone will die and return to chaos. Yi Qinghan hesitated for a moment and summoned Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan looked at the excitement in his father's eyes and said disdainfully, "This guy is scheming against me. I'll accompany you into Qiu Tian domain. Moreover, I'm also very interested in Qiu Tian domain. When I went in earlier, I realized that Qiu Tian domain was a little different from the Qiu Tian domain in my memory." The divine bird father's eyes widened and he scolded angrily, "I'm your father. Why would I harm you? TSK, look at that old bastard Yen Yu. He even killed his own son. How would I know if you wouldn't plot against me? In this world, I only trust boss. Other than boss, I don't trust anyone else," Yi Qinghan replied with certainty. Yi Qinghan smiled slightly and waved his hand to rub the back of Yi Qinghan's head. Yi Qinghan's words hit the nail on the head. In this life, the relationship between the two of them transcended everything. He was satisfied to be recognized by Yi Qinghan. It did not matter whether it was the new order or the old order. However, at this moment, primordial Yin Yang and Yen Yu stared at Yi Qinghan. A divine light flashed as if they were enlightened. The shock and surprise in their eyes were very obvious, but it disappeared in a flash. Chapter 29:45. At this moment, other than Yi Qinghan, everyone else seemed to have thought of something. The divine bird's father was so despicable to care so much about the new order. Whoosh! Yan Emperor's figure flashed as he turned towards Supremacy Yi. Whoosh! Boom! Yi Qinghan's figure flashed as he dodged Yan Emperor's hand. He looked at Yan Emperor in shock and asked, "Senior, you, give me Supremacy Yi and I'll help you revive all the dead." Yan Emperor said firmly. Yi Qinghan frowned and asked, "Senior, what do you mean? Don't you understand?" Yan Emperor said in a deep voice, "The new order is the energy source of the transcending ancestor realm. Once you refine it, you can transcend the ancestor realm and become lawless. You can revive the dead with a wave of your hand." Yi Qinghan was shocked. The divine bird was so scared that its legs went soft as it fell on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. "Boss, save me," Supremacy Yi said in a trembling voice. At this moment, the four ancestor realm experts wanted to capture Supremacy Yi, including Tian Dao. Boom! An ancestor realm expert stepped out of the chaotic heavenly domain and appeared in the middle of the battlefield. In an instant, the ancient immortal world collapsed. Whoosh, whoosh, Yi Qinghan retreated thousands of miles as he glared at everyone. He then looked at Yan Emperor. For the Yen clan and the nine-colored Brahmin heart, he would do anything. Yi Qinghan understood that if he was in Yan Emperor's position, he would definitely fall out with Yan Emperor and snatch Supremacy Yi. However, Supremacy Yi was as important as his life. How could he let others refine him? "Senior Yan Emperor, let's change our method. We can find a way to step into the transcending ancestor realm. However, don't touch Supremacy Yi," Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Yan Emperor refused to give in. This matter involved his persistence. If it was anyone else, they wouldn't be able to take it. On the other hand, Yan Yu and Immemorial Yin Yang were watching the show from the side. If Yan Emperor and Yi Qing Han were to fight amongst themselves, this battle would be much simpler. Yi Qing Han would never let Supreme Sovereign Yi out even if he died. At this moment, his eyes flickered as he stared at the Divine Bird Father and growled in dissatisfaction, "You've played a good hand. It seems like you're preparing to refine the new order, transcend the ancestor realm, and get rid of us in one fell swoop." Cough cough. When the Divine Bird Father saw that he could not obtain the origin energy of the transcending ancestor realm, he immediately smiled flatteringly and said, "Mansion Lord Yi, don't be angry. Why would I refine my own son?" Yi Qinghan stared coldly at the ancestor realm expert born in the primal chaos heavenly domain with a short lifespan. He pointed at him and asked, "Can you explain the situation of this ancestor realm expert? The lifespan order only has 100 years. In other words, you'll use him to transcend the ancestor realm and get rid of us in one fell swoop. His lifespan will dissipate and the ancient immortal world will be restored to its original state. You'll get rid of all the problems once and for all, right?" The Divine Bird Father immediately replied in a serious manner, "How could that be? This time, it's because it's my first time giving birth to an ancestor realm expert and I don't have much experience. That's why I only gave him 100 years of lifespan. Next time, it'll definitely be more than that. Mansion Lord Yi, look at me. I'm open and aboveboard. Why would I do something that a despicable person like Yan Yu would do? Can you be more shameless? I didn't expect you to really treat me as the new order. I have flesh and blood, I have a soul and I have feelings. How could you give up on me?" Supreme Sovereign Yi was very angry and roared in anger, "Look at boss. Even if he was forced by 5 ancestor realm experts, he wouldn't give up on me. This is the difference between you and boss. You're just a 3-second man. You're a disgrace to the heavenly Tao." Whoosh! The 5 ancestor realm experts joined forces and pressed Yi Qinghan to the back. Primordial Yin Yang, Yan Yu, the ancient heavenly emperor, the ancestor realm experts born in the primal chaos heavenly domain and the flame emperor. With the 5 of them joining forces, Yi Qinghan would be crushed alive. Even if he transcended the 5 elements, he would have no hope of surviving. Hiss, Yi Qinghan sucked in a breath of cold air. He didn't expect the situation to turn out like this. Yi Qinghan shook his head and looked at the Flame Emperor with a frown. He said hoarsely, "Senior, do we have to sacrifice Supreme Sovereign Yi just to transcend the ancestor realm? He has flesh and blood. He grew up with me since I was young." "I don't agree." The Flame Emperor rebuked angrily, "You can refine it yourself. I promise that I won't attack you. As long as you transcend the ancestor realm, everything can be restored. The trap set up by Yan Yu and Primordial Yin Yang will be reduced to nothing. Sacrificing him will bring everyone back. Why not?" Yi Qinghan shook his head and replied unwillingly, "If I refine the ancestor realm's origin, Supreme Sovereign Yi will be completely dead. I can't do it. He's not my spiritual pet, he's my brother. I won't give up on him. Besides, is Qiu Tian domain the only ancestor realm's origin? If we kill these 3 people, we'll have enough time to find the ancestor realm's origin." Primordial Yin Yang smiled sinisterly, "You're wrong. There's only one origin in the entire Qiu Tian domain. In this world, there's only one person who can transcend the origin." Boom. Yan Yu didn't wait for Primordial Yin Yang to finish speaking. He broke the order with a punch and attacked Yi Qinghan fiercely, wanting to snatch Supreme Sovereign Yi. Whoosh! Ancient Heavenly Emperor swept his leg and formed a pincer attack with Yan Yu, blocking Yi Qinghan in the middle. Bang! Primordial Chaos Heavenly Domain's ancestor realm sent a palm strike towards Yi Qinghan's back, wanting to grab Supreme Sovereign Yi. Primordial Yin Yang's sword pierced through the void and headed straight for Yi Qinghan's head. Bang! In an instant, four Supreme Ancestor Realm experts surrounded Yi Qinghan, wanting to take advantage of the chaos to snatch the divine bird's energy. Ah! Kill! Yi Qinghan roared angrily. His long saber swept across 1,000 miles and his legs kicked horizontally. As long as Yan Emperor didn't attack, he might lose, but he still had a chance to fight back. Swoosh swoosh swoosh, primordial yin-yang split into two. The sword traveled through the heavens and in the blink of an eye, it reached Zhongquan. In an instant, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Boom boom boom. Bang bang bang. Yi Qinghan kicked the primordial chaos ancestor realm expert's palm with his right leg and used the momentum to sweep towards ancient heavenly emperor and primordial yin-yang. His left leg kicked towards Yenyu. In an instant, the order of the heavenly river collapsed. Heavenly Tao became unstable and even the heaven-defying Tao trembled. Senior. Are you really going to stand by and watch? It was difficult for two fists to fight four hands. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed as he continuously slashed and defeated the four Supreme Ancestor Realm experts. However, the five elements were distorted and wanted to trap him within the five elements. The situation was precarious. The Flame Emperor was unwilling. If he helped Yi Qinghan, it would be equivalent to giving up the nine-colored Brahma heart and the people of the Flame tribe. If he didn't help, Yi Qinghan wouldn't be able to survive today. Yan Emperor was caught between two extreme choices and had a splitting headache. If I don't choose to burn my boats, how will I have the chance to soar into the sky? Yi Qinghan, I will revive you. Sorry, just as you can't give up on Supreme Yi, I can't give up on the nine-colored Brahma heart and the billions of Yan clan members. Yan Emperor didn't plan to attack. He was waiting for Yi Qinghan to be defeated so that he could seize the opportunity to snatch Supreme Yi. Yan Emperor wasn't wrong. Yi Qinghan wasn't wrong either. Boom! Bang! Crack crack crack, the ancient immortal world was torn apart. Mountains and rivers trembled and order collapsed. Even the divine bird couldn't stop it. Countless people became cannon fodder and suffered heavy casualties. Everyone, leave the ancient immortal world immediately. No one is allowed to participate in the battle. Yi Qinghan roared. He wasn't willing to let the crazy Manor army come to their deaths. Half-ancestors couldn't interfere in the battle of the ancestor realm. Yan Emperor waved his hand and blocked the endless ancestor realm energy attacking crazy Manor, buying some time for them. Not helping Yi Qinghan didn't mean that he had given up on crazy Manor. He and Yi Qinghan had some differences, but it wasn't to the point of breaking up completely. Go to the space-time tunnel between Dark Moon Star and East Divine Planet. There's a chance of survival there. Yan Emperor said coldly. The Taigu Emperor kept the crazy Manor army into his inner world and fled towards the edge of the universe. They couldn't help and would only be sending themselves to their deaths. However, there were three half-ancestors who stayed behind. Lin Wutian, Lu Feng, and Chu Shijun-xian. They didn't need to escape. If Yi Qinghan lost, they would die. The ancestor realm didn't allow half-ancestors to exist. Kill. In the blink of an eye, Yi Qinghan was bathed in a river of blood. He wouldn't give up on Supreme Yi. So what if it was 1 against 4? Yan Emperor pressed his hand on the mortal sovereign's sword and stared at the battlefield. However, he was also constantly watching immemorial Yin-Yang and Yenyu. He would definitely take action if these two showed any flaws. Chapter 2946. Lu Feng, Chu Shixian, and Lin Wutian, the three half-martial ancestors, stood in the distance. Even the shattering of space could not make them lose control. This was especially true for Lin Wutian, who had improved greatly under Yan Emperor's guidance. However, they still did not dare to participate in the ancestral war. The three experts gripped their divine weapons and slowly closed in, waiting for an opportunity. Even if they had to use their lives to delay Yi Qinghan for a period of time, it would be enough. If they sacrificed themselves now, it might not be a true sacrifice. If Yi Qinghan found Sovereign Yi who could transcend the ancestor realm without refining him, they could be revived. Lu Feng and Chu Shijun Xian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Yan Emperor did not choose to attack, but his hand was already on his sword, waiting for the best time to attack. Boom! Yi Qinghan was forced to retreat again and again. He had transcended the 5 elements, but he was still imprisoned by the 5 elements. The 4 progenitors joined forces, and with the ancient celestial emperor and immemorial Yin Yang, they were equivalent to 4 progenitors, which meant that there were 6 of them. Bang! Whoosh! Whoosh! The void continued to collapse. Every time Yi Qinghan retreated, he would be defeated by another. In just 1 incense stick's worth of time, more than 10 wounds appeared on his body. Ancestral blood spilled out. Roar! The multicolored snake and god-devouring eagle roared, wanting to soar into the sky, turning into wings to dominate the mountains and rivers. Boss, go to Qiu Qinghan. There is still a chance. Sovereign Yi shouted anxiously. He was furious and wanted to cry. He was so anxious that he was about to cry. If he lost this time, there would be no more chances. If Yan Emperor did not attack, even if Sovereign Yi was willing to refine Yi Qinghan, he would not have enough time to transcend ancestral realm. Kill! Yi Qinghan slashed at the ancestral realm experts born in the primal chaos heavenly domain. His figure flashed, wanting to charge towards Qiu Qinghan. Whoosh! 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 The ancient heavenly emperor's figure flashed, not giving Yi Qinghan a chance to leave. Either he or Yi Qinghan would die. There was no exception. Buzz! The ancestral realm expert's divine sense filled the sky, imprisoning the 5 elements. Time and space froze. Anyone caught in his domain would slow down. Break! Yi Qinghan roared furiously. The might of the progenitor realm shattered tens of thousands of miles, and the domain of order collapsed. He seized space and charged towards Qiu Tianyu. Yanyu and the immemorial Yin beast did not dare to attack Yi Qinghan recklessly. They were afraid that the Flame Emperor would suddenly attack. Do you want to kill Yan Emperor first? Immemorial Yin Yang said to Yanyu as a cold light flashed in his eyes. The ancient heavenly emperor and the primal chaos ancestor working together was enough to pin down Yi Qinghan. The 2 of them would deal with the Flame Emperor, hoping to end the battle quickly. Yanyu hesitated for a moment, but the Flame Emperor did not give him any time to hesitate. He immediately drew his sword and the sword aura broke through the dome. Today, I will exterminate Yin and Yang, exterminate evil. Just because I didn't make a move earlier, it doesn't mean that I've forgiven you. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Yan Emperor's sword aura was sharp and indestructible. His sword pierced through the order and commanded the origin of the Grand Tao of Sword. His Tao of Sword had surpassed the Grand Tao of Sword and crushed everything in an instant. Boom! The human Tao Emperor Pagoda covered the sky and instantly swung towards the edge of the universe. Roar! Boom! The immemorial Yin Yang showed its true strength. The Grand Tao of Yin and Yang seized the space and pierced towards the human sovereign sword together with the Yin Yang ancestral sword. One was the sovereign who ruled the ancient times, one was the sovereign who could make the heavens human, and the other was the founder of the Yen clan. When the 3 experts attacked, the ancient immortal world collapsed completely. There were countless casualties. Many were sent flying into the depths of the universe by the broken ancient immortal world. Those who were weaker were directly shattered by the aftershocks. The Father Divine Bird was in despair. The ancient immortal world could not withstand a battle of this level. When the immortals fought, the mortals suffered. Boom! Bang bang bang! The Flame Emperor and the immemorial Yin Yang clashed for more than 10 times. The immemorial yin-yang was pushed back dozens of miles. However, the Flame Emperor was pushed back thousands of miles by Yen Yu's human Tao Emperor Pagoda. When the Flame Emperor reaches the top, will the heavens be human? That's all there is to it. The immemorial yin-yang's blood and qi surged. His figure flashed. The two ancestors separated and merged at times. He was definitely invincible in terms of individual combat strength. However, the Flame Emperor and someone who transcended the five elements appeared in the world. The Flame Emperor took a deep breath. He had already stepped on the great Tao of sword. With a flip of his wrist, the sword light seized the air. That's all there is to it. The Flame Emperor countered. They were disdainful of each other. However, they did not know that a casual move from them could render those of the same realm powerless. The immemorial yin-yang was definitely not weak. It was just that they had met the stronger Flame Emperor. Kill! Swoosh swoosh swoosh, the Flame Emperor turned into countless divine swords. The human sovereign sword shattered all order in order to kill Yen Yu and the immemorial yin-yang. Boom! Swoosh swoosh swoosh, the terrifying sword aura made the half-ancestors despair. They had no chance to interfere. The Flame Emperor's figure was like a divine dragon flying in the sky. He was facing the two strongest ancestors with ease. Even though he was defeated, no one could do better than him. On the other side, because the two progenitors were being held back, Yi Qinghan erupted with power. He cleaved apart the primal chaos progenitor with a single slash, and then charged towards the ancient heavenly monarch. His aura was like a rainbow as he slashed at the ancient heavenly monarch with saber after saber, causing the progenitors to despair. The ancient heavenly emperor had entered the ancestor realm with two godheads. How could he be weak? But at this moment, the bones in his hand were broken and his blood dyed the sky red. Bang! The primal chaos ancestor realm attacked from the back again. He wanted to crush Yi Qinghan's body and take back Sovereign Yi. Yi Qinghan had just gained the upper hand, but the ancient heavenly emperor's continuous interference allowed the ancient heavenly emperor to reverse the situation. Order is about to collapse. You unfilial sons. Bastards. Be careful of the appearance of a sovereign realm expert who will make you slaves for life. A sovereign realm expert was someone who had surpassed the ancestor realm. They were also known as the Lord of the Universe. However, this universe had never been born. Not being born did not mean that it did not exist. No one knew more about the universe than the divine bird father. Even if he was a trash, he knew a lot. In the end, Yi Qinghan and the Flame Emperor were unwilling to let the universe's order collapse. They began to retreat and fled toward the Qiu Tian domain. Whoosh! 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 The three half-ancestors, Lu Feng, Lin Wutian, and Chu Shijun Xian, took the lead and headed toward the Qiu Tian domain. If they entered the ancestor realm by chance, there would be no suspense in this battle. Roar! Boom! Many experts fought as they retreated. The universe's order wavered in the wind and rain. The primal chaos heavenly domain was filled with lightning and nirvanic aura. Once they rushed out of the primal chaos heavenly domain, everything would be destroyed. No matter how far the crazy manner escaped, they would not be able to survive. The nirvanic aura was useless against ancestors, but it could affect half-ancestors. Even the Taigu Emperor could not escape. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He did not know if he could enter the sovereign realm, so he did not dare to take the risk. Otherwise, he would have to give up the entire universe or Sovereign Yi in the end. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan forced the ancient heavenly emperor back with a slash and kicked the primal chaos ancestor realm expert countless miles away. With a wave of his hand, he led the three half-ancestors into the Qiu Tian domain. As soon as he entered the Qiu Tian domain, Yi Qinghan could clearly sense that Sovereign Yi was the legendary sovereign realm's origin energy. As long as he refined it, he would step into an unprecedented realm. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and sent the 3 half-ancestors into the depths of the Qiu Tian domain. He shouted, "Escape into the depths. I'm confident that I can kill 2 ancestors. I don't need you to interfere." Killing ancestors might be difficult for other ancestors, but for Yi Qinghan and the Flame Emperor, it was still possible. They just needed time. Chapter 2947. Once one entered the celestial realm, there was no order and no laws. Everything here was lawless and there was no order to speak of. However, there was a natural law operating in this place. No one could find the true law of order here. This was a place that transcended the 5 elements, the place where Yi Qinghan came from. Yi Qinghan's eyebrows twitched. He felt that this place was very familiar, even though he had never been here before. I find it familiar too, but this place is different from Yi Qinghan's memories. I remember there being a planet of life here, and I remember there being stars here. But the last time I came here, there was nothing. It's so fucking weird, Supreme Yi immediately said when he sensed Yi Qinghan's mental fluctuations. Unfortunately, he did not have much time to think because the other ancestor realms had already charged in. Boom! Whoosh! Once the ancestor realm appeared, the chaotic energy of the Qiu Tian domain was instantly ignited. This was the true primal chaos. Yi Qinghan blocked all of the energy storms to give Lin Wuqian, Chu Shijunxian, and Lu Feng a chance to escape. 6 progenitor realm experts were facing off against each other. The Flame Emperor wanted to kill the primordial Yin-Yang Emperor and Yenyu, while Yi Qinghan wanted to kill the ancient Heavenly Emperor and the primordial Yin-Yang Emperor. However, the ancient Heavenly Emperor wanted to kill Yi Qinghan and the primordial Yin-Yang Emperor. The primordial Yin-Yang Emperor wanted to kill the Flame Emperor and Yi Qinghan to seize the ruler realm's quintessence energy. As for the primal chaos ancestor realm, they wanted to seize sovereign realm's quintessence energy. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, everyone's breathing quickened. Even an ancestor realm expert could fall. Yi Qinghan stared at the Flame Emperor and said in a deep voice, "Senior Flame Emperor, since Father Divine Bird dares to say that the sovereign realm exists, it definitely exists. If others can reach it, why can't we? To me, Supreme Yi is like the Flame Ancestor and the 9-colored Brahma heart to you. I will not give up. I respect you, and I hope that you will respect me as well. Today, we will kill 4 ancestor realm experts and ruler realm experts. We will take our time, how about it?" The Flame Emperor took a deep breath and asked in a deep voice, "If you can't reach the ruler realm, are you willing to hand Sovereign Yi over?" Yi Qinghan fell silent. The dead were dead after all. He had no right to take away Supreme Sovereign Yi's life by using the living to save those who had been sacrificed. After a long time, Yi Qinghan did not lie to the Flame Emperor. Instead, he shook his head firmly. Yenyu stared at the Flame Emperor and said in a deep voice, "My son, let's work together to kill Yi Qinghan and seize his sovereign realm source energy. You and I will transcend everything and the dead will return. There is no need to work together with Yi Qinghan. We are father and son after all." The Flame Emperor looked at Yenyu coldly and replied, "Do you think you're qualified to work with me? Unworthy." The Flaming Emperor had an answer in his heart. Right now, he only wanted to rely on himself. Phew, Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and heaved a sigh of relief when he heard the Flame Emperor's reply. If the Flame Emperor attacked him again, he would not stand a chance. "Since you forced me, don't blame me for being cruel. Today, you and Yi Qinghan will die together. When I transcend, I will revive you. I will let you know that I did nothing wrong." Yenyu was furious. The ancestor realm order erupted and the human Tao Emperor Pagoda illuminated the Qiu Tian region. The Flame Emperor's aura collided with the Qiu Tian region. He pointed his sword at the immemorial Yin Yang and Yenyu. However, he looked at the ancient Heavenly Emperor and asked in a deep voice, "Heavenly Emperor, let me ask you one thing. Have you really forgotten what Uncle told you, or are you going to betray me?" He went straight to the point. The ancient Heavenly Emperor's immemorial realm was very important. With 4 against 1, even if there was a winner, it would take a long time. Moreover, it would be much more dangerous. The ancient Heavenly Emperor laughed at himself. He looked at Yi Qinghan coldly and replied calmly, "Uncle, you will always be my uncle. I will not forget what you said. However, Yi Qinghan must die. I will not compete with you for the sovereign realm source energy. I only want to kill Yi Qinghan. I have no way out. I have killed too many people from the Yen clan and the crazy manor. One of us must die. Uncle, you don't have to persuade me." Just as the ancient Heavenly Emperor had said, either he or Yi Qinghan would die. Hua, Yi Qinghan's blade light flashed and illuminated the Qiu Tian region. Boom! Yi Qinghan attacked the ancient Heavenly Emperor. It did not matter whether the ancient Heavenly Emperor was enduring or not. He would definitely die. Roar! Hua! The ancient Heavenly Emperor moved, slashing at 7 feet berserk. There was no order in the Qiu Tian region, but progenitors could create laws and logos of order. The energy swept across thousands of miles and no living thing could survive. Hua hua hua. Bang bang bang. Yi Qinghan fought 1 against 2, forcing the primal chaos progenitor and the ancient Heavenly Emperor to retreat. He did not hesitate to stain the Qiu Tian region with blood. Boom! Just as Yen Emperor and the others were about to make their move, the sky-seeking domain was suddenly sealed off, separating itself from the primal chaos heavenly domain and the ancient immortal world. The 6 ancestors could even clearly sense the sky-seeking domain drifting away. In the blink of an eye, it was countless li away from its original location. Boom! Hua. The stars in seeking heaven domain moved, space shook, and countless ancestor realm energies exploded, like fireworks exploding, illuminating the entire seeking heaven domain. Ha ha ha, the primal chaos progenitor laughed, and the father divine bird used him to laugh disdainfully. Unfilial sons, since you like to fight, you can all die in the Qiu Tian region. So what if you are progenitors? If you dare to defy the heavens, you will still die. The chaos clouds moved in the Qiu Tian region, causing space and direction to become chaotic. The 6 progenitors' hair stood on end. Hua! Primal chaos ancestor retreated a few hundred steps, keeping a certain distance from the other ancestors, and said wretchedly, "Now, you won't have the chance to refine the new order. The new order must be refined within the primal chaos heavenly domain in order to transcend nature and become a universe master. Otherwise, you will be a rootless dominator. Without the support of the universe, you have no chance at all. In fact, it's not that no one has stepped into the dominator realm before you, but they are just frogs at the bottom of a well. It's precisely because the previous people kept refining the dominator realm origin that the primal chaos heavenly domain no longer has the dominator realm origin, leaving only this strand of dominator realm origin. Only one of you can seize the dominator realm origin." Yi Qinghan and the others frowned at the primal chaos progenitor. He did not have much vitality left. His life order was set to last for 100 years, and after 100 years, it would automatically dissipate. Also, let me tell you, the Qiu Tian region is not part of the primal chaos heavenly region. It is connected to many different universes and is the common Qiu Tian region of all universes. There is no law order here, but dominators will appear. Pray that you don't encounter any dominators and comprehend the Qiu Tian region more. I will let you know what is the true Qiu Tian region. Ha ha ha, the Father Divine Bird laughed, and the primal chaos progenitor's eyes recovered. The Father Divine Bird left, and now no one could return. No one understood the universe and the Qiu Tian region better than the Father Divine Bird. He is bragging. Supremacy Yi expressed his doubts. He did not know if there was a dominator realm, but he did not believe his father because he was too cheap. There was no credibility in his words. Primordial yin-yang flashed with a cold light and said, "He's not bragging." Chapter 29:48. He wasn't bragging. Since immemorial yin-yang said so, he must have some understanding of Qiu Tian domain. After all, he was the first son of heaven to be born. He must know more than others. However, was it really important whether he was a ruler or not? Yi Qinghan and Yan Emperor didn't think so. So what if he was a ruler? At this level, he wouldn't offend others for no reason. Even if he encountered one, it didn't matter. Swish! Yi Qinghan and Yan Emperor's killing intent flashed. They wouldn't withdraw their killing intent. In terms of individual combat strength, Yi Qinghan and Yan Emperor were indeed invincible in the same realm. If it wasn't 2 against 1, Yi Qinghan and Yan Emperor could easily kill any one of them. The difficult part was that it was 2 against 1. The immemorial yin-yang immemorial and Yan Yu weren't rookies. The ancient celestial emperor had 2 godheads, and the primal chaos ancestor realm was derived from the divine bird daddy's strongest order. It represented the peak of the ancestor realm, condensing countless lives and turning their vitality into combat strength. Heavenly Emperor, you are incurable. Don't blame uncle. I will take revenge for your parents. Yan Emperor warned coldly. The ancient Heavenly Emperor's eyes were emotionless. He pointed his sword at Yi Qinghan and replied calmly, "Since that is the case, we will cut off all ties. My decision will not change. I will call you uncle one last time. If you meet my parents in a place where the dead gather, please send my regards. I want to become a ruler. I want to become the Lord of the universe. No one can stop me." Killing intent radiated in all directions. All kinship and friendship were fragile in front of the ascendant. Roar! Boom! Yi Qinghan attacked forcefully. His saber cleaved apart half of the spacetime of the seeking heaven domain. Here, it was even easier to use the defying 5 elements because this was outside of the 5 elements. His battle prowess was strengthened. Bang! Boom! Yi Qinghan fought 2 against 1 and defeated them with an overwhelming advantage. Perhaps in less than 100 years, this primal chaos ancestor realm expert would die. The progenitor's sword was broken, and the energy storm was like the self-destruction of a progenitor. As long as it engulfed any progenitor, it would cause fatal damage to that progenitor, including Yi Qinghan and Flame Emperor. Whoosh! Roar! Yi Qinghan tore through the void and stabbed into the sky-seeking domain with his bare hands. He controlled the power of the reverse 5 elements with both hands and transformed it into sharp lightning swords. Ancient Heavenly Emperor, if I want to kill you, no one can stop me. Today, you will die. Boom! Whoosh! When Yi Qinghan and the primal chaos ancestor exchanged a kick, they could clearly hear the sound of bones breaking. No matter how strong the primal chaos ancestor was, he was not stronger than Yi Qinghan at this moment. He was sent flying several hundred miles away by Yi Qinghan's kick. Kill! Yi Qinghan charged towards the ancient Heavenly Emperor with lightning speed. Whoosh! The void shattered, and it was unstoppable. Buzz! The ancient Heavenly Emperor pressed his hands on his temples and mobilized his progenitor's divine sense to seal the void in front of him, forcibly imprisoning Yi Qinghan's lightning speed. One attacked wildly, the other defended wildly, neither giving in an inch. Whoosh! Boundless light shone, illuminating the sky-seeking domain. If there was really a ruler here, it was very likely that these rulers would be provoked. Crack crack crack, the ancient Heavenly Emperor's body was distorted, and his veins were bulging. He was not willing to lose to Yi Qinghan. He crushed the chaotic space of the sky-seeking domain with his feet and retreated continuously. His leg bones were twisted, and it seemed like he could not hold on any longer. Boom! At this moment, that damned primal chaos ancestor jumped out again. He wanted to ensure that Yi Qinghan and the ancient heavenly emperor were both injured. He launched a sneak attack from behind and ruthlessly slammed his palm into Yi Qinghan's back. At this moment, Yi Qinghan's body turned void and stood outside the five elements, but it was real. Humph! Blood trickled from the corner of Yi Qinghan's mouth. Although he had escaped a heavy blow, he was still injured. Bang bang bang! The primal chaos ancestor launched several consecutive palm strikes, all of which landed on Yi Qinghan's back. Yi Qinghan was burning with rage and murderous intent. He withdrew his sword and transformed it into energy. He punched the sky-seeking domain and ruthlessly slammed into the primal chaos ancestor's fist. Crack 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 crack, the bones in the primal chaos ancestor's hand were shattered. He roared furiously and sped back countless miles. Die, you filthy beast! Yi Qinghan gave up on pursuing the ancient heavenly emperor. His arms transformed into divine weapons, and his knees viciously struck the primal chaos ancestor. The primal chaos ancestor had no time to escape. He could only use his elbows to strike at Yi Qinghan's elbows while his knees viciously struck at Yi Qinghan's knees. Boom! Bang! In an instant, ancestral blood dyed the border of the sky-seeking domain red. The friction created a raging inferno that burned the one-line sky. The primal chaos ancestor's body exploded. His bones were covered in blood as he was instantly sent flying countless miles. Yi Qinghan was already injured from the joint attack of the four primal chaos ancestors. Now that he suffered such a powerful impact, his entire body was bathed in a river of blood. Thud thud thud, Yi Qinghan's face twisted as he retreated several hundred steps. His bones were as tough as steel, and his palms were covered in blood. He clenched his fists as he looked at the ancient celestial emperor and primal chaos rent. The two of them had joined forces again. Damn it! Yi Qinghan glared at the primal chaos ancestor. He did not understand why he was so fixated on him. Leave supremacy Yi to me. I won't participate in your battle. The primal chaos ancestor gestured with his hand. Fuck you. 100 years of life. Even if I waste it, you won't be able to. Don't think that you're really an ancestor. In front of me, you're just an ant. Now scram and enjoy your 100 years of life. Yi Qinghan roared angrily. Then let's see if you can last 100 years. If I injure you a few more times, you won't even live for 100 years. A new order is a new order. Only you treat it as a life. The primal chaos ancestor mocked coldly. At this moment, the battle between Yan Emperor and the two strongest primal chaos ancestors was even more intense than here. Blood dyed the sky-seeking domain red. The primal chaos ancestor's energy exploded several times, causing the primal chaos ancestor's energy to explode. The power was even more terrifying than an ancestor's self-destruction. Even the human Tao Emperor's pagoda was shattered. When Yan Emperor reaches the peak, even the heavens will be human. Do you think that you can stop me today? Yan Emperor was extremely domineering. Even if his golden body was dyed in blood and pierced by the primal chaos ancestor's sword, it could not stop his strength. The primal chaos ancestor's sword pierced 5 bloody holes in the primal chaos ancestor's body. The primal chaos ancestor's injuries healed faster than Yan Emperor's. This was the advantage of the primal chaos ancestor. Without Yan Emperor, how could he not dominate the world? Experts were lonely, but experts were also afraid of meeting experts. It was either you die or I die. Yan Yu's hair was disheveled and his body was covered in blood. The human Tao Emperor's pagoda was shattered. He had imagined this scene countless times. Yan Emperor's merit was too great to be left alive. Therefore, he gave up on Yan Emperor the first time. The second time, when Yan Emperor returned, he had to kill him. Yan Emperor, you betrayed the heavens and even killed your father. Today, you don't need to beg the sky-seeking domain to take you in. I will kill you personally. Yan Yu roared. With a wave of his hand, he gathered the reverse 5 elements energy and formed the human Tao Emperor's pagoda. Yi Qinghan was not the only one who knew the reverse 5 elements, Yan Yu knew it too. Moreover, he knew more than Yi Qinghan. Better than you. You even gave up on your own people and killed your own son. What right do you have to say that I betrayed the heavens? Yan Emperor was burning with rage. He stepped towards Yan Yu and the primal chaos ancestor. Bang! Gotcha! Roared out at this moment, Yi Qinghan punched the primal chaos ancestor's chest and crushed his heart. However, the ancient heavenly emperor's sharp sword pierced through his chest. The primal chaos ancestor flew back and coughed out blood. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.